Chapter 963. Longy didn't think too much about it for now. He was almost certain that the Earth God tribe's holy relic was in this desert. However, Longy didn't expect to find it now, since the Earth God tribe's strange beasts hadn't been able to find it for thousands of years. Of course, now that he had grasped 5% of the 9 nether marks, he could faintly sense the aura of that thing. Presumably, once he grasped more of the 9 nether marks, he would be able to more clearly determine where that thing was. As for now, the most important thing for Long Yu was to deal with the Battle Emperor's murderous intent. If I want the Battle Emperor to attack me personally, I have to survive the first few waves of murderous intent. I wonder who the Battle Emperor has sent to kill me. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up. He was certain that the strongest person the Battle Emperor had sent would not be stronger than a 2-star Emperor. It would be rather difficult for a 2-star Emperor to kill Long Yu. In any case, it couldn't be the leader of this operation, Zhu Tian. This person was impartial and had risked his life to exterminate the strange beasts. It was impossible for him to help the Battle Emperor do such a thing. In that case, the other 2-star Emperors among the 58 people were more suspicious. Long Yu noticed that among the 58 people in this operation, other than the leader, Zhu Tian, there were 2 other cabinet elders from the alliance of 5 emperors. They were both 2-star emperors and were the team leaders of Team 2 and Team 3 respectively. The team leader of Team 2 was a middle-aged woman with the strength of a 2-star emperor. Her name was Tan Xiuya. It was said that she was extremely harsh and didn't have many friends in the alliance of 5 emperors. However, it was undeniable that she wasn't weak. She had once stood out in the God Martial Emperor meeting and received 2 chances to challenge the 5 emperors. Unfortunately, she failed both times and could only become a cabinet elder of the alliance of 5 emperors. The leader of the 3rd team was an old man named Su Chun. This person was the spirit array master who built the glorious sun in the holy city of the 5 emperors. He was also one of the cabinet elders of the alliance of 5 emperors. Long Yu now knew that this spirit formation grandmaster Su Chun was related to the Su clan's medicine store. After all, both of them had the surname Su. Moreover, Long Yu had already speculated that the Su clan's medicine store and the glorious sun in's backer were related. This Su Chun was undoubtedly the biggest backer of the Su Medicine Hall. In this operation, Spirit Array Master Su Chun was also one of the main forces. This was because ordinary attacks couldn't break through the defense of the Earth God tribe's fortress. They could only use some powerful offensive spirit arrays that Su Chun had created. Therefore, the 3rd squad that Su Chun was in could be said to be the vanguard of this operation. If that's the case, it's unlikely that Su Chun and the Battle Arch are here to deal with me. However, Team 2's leader, Tan Xiuya, is leading the main force on the battlefield. Logically speaking, it's unlikely that she'll be free to deal with me, Long Yu thought to himself. As he got closer to the Earth God tribe's fortress, he became more and more vigilant. Could it be that the Battle Arch would arrange for someone else to deal with Long Yu? Long Yu was secretly on guard. About an hour later, the Earth God clan's fortresses, which had been faintly discernible, finally became clear. There were several incomparably magnificent buildings, each of which was tens of thousands of feet high, towering into the clouds. Each building was spherical. These were the Earth God tribe's fortresses. They had been reinforced with divine rune crystals, so their defensive capabilities were extremely terrifying. Wow, these Earth God tribe's nests are several times bigger than all the beast nests I've seen before. Among the crowd, some people started whispering. It was obvious that what they saw shocked them. What level of exotic beast would be guarding this kind of exotic beast nest? Some people were a little nervous. If it's the level of the 3-star Emperor or above, we're dead for sure. Don't worry. At this moment, the leader of the group, Zhu Tian, spoke in a low voice. According to the scouts who investigated the situation here, there aren't many beasts guarding these nests because they've existed for too long. Moreover, the strongest beast is only at the level of 2nd-star Imperial Monarch. With our strength, it shouldn't be a problem to annihilate a total of 6 nests. This was the largest base of the Earth God tribe's beasts in Shunwu world. Therefore, Zhu Tian was very cautious about this operation. If the scout wasn't a good friend that he had known for many years, he wouldn't have believed it. But since it was the scout's result, there shouldn't be any problems. I hope so. Let's get ready. Elder Su, it's up to you first. The captain of the 2nd Squadron, Tan Xiuya, frowned at the captain of the 3rd Squadron, Su Chun. How much power can your ice-sealing killing formation display in this desert environment? The old man, Su Chen's expression was also serious. I'm afraid that the ice-sealing killing formation is not suitable to be set up here. I'm preparing to set up a destruction formation. Although my understanding of the destruction formation is not as good as the ice-sealing killing formation, the destruction formation will display its full power in this environment. Do as you see fit. Inform me when the killing formation is ready. I'll go ahead and take a closer look. After Zhu Tian said that to Su Chun, he led the 8 members of the first team and flew off. Every single one of them hid themselves and concealed their auras as much as possible. The first squadron that Zhu Tian led was the scouting squadron. It was also the squadron with the strongest fighting strength and could be said to be the soul of this operation. After Zhu Tian and the others left, the battlefield immediately fell silent. Everyone hid in the sand that filled the sky, trying their best to hide themselves. They did not want to be discovered by the beasts in the nearby Earth God tribe's lair. The place where everyone stopped was the most difficult for the beasts to discover them. This location had already been determined before they set off. Once Zhu Tian returned from his investigation, Su Chen's formation should be ready. Then, it would be time for the official operation. Waiting was the most boring thing. Long Yu and Yi Ziwei were very close to each other. Even so, the yellow sand continued to dance in the air between them. It was obvious how violent the sand was. If an ordinary person came to a place like this, they would probably suffocate to death after being buried under the sand in less than 2 hours. Suddenly, after approximately the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Long Yu's heart suddenly became alert. He could feel an extremely dense, killing intent rushing towards him and the others from behind. Be careful, Missy. There might be danger. Long Yu reminded Yi Ziwei. Yi Ziwei furrowed her brows and nodded. She looked at Long Yu and said, I also feel that something is wrong. It's just too quiet around here. We haven't seen a single beast until now. This is too strange. I remember when we were exterminating the beast nests in the past, we could sense the aura of the beasts from far away. We would also encounter small patrol teams of beasts. At this moment, a wall of earth suddenly rose from behind them. In the desert, the yellow sand surged. Behind the waiting crowd, an earthen wall rose from the ground, reaching the clouds. The entire earthen wall was countless miles long, with no end in sight. Moreover, it was unknown how thick it was. Accompanied by the slow rise of the yellow sand, the earthen wall quickly rolled up. The earth wall behind them was the first to appear. When everyone was surprised by the situation, they found that on their left and right sides, there were also earth walls that rose from the desert. It was as if they wanted to trap them in the middle, leaving only one path for them, the path that led to the Earth God tribe's beast lair. What's going on? Elder Su, what is this mud wall? Is it part of the plan? Or have we been discovered by the beasts? Could it be that we've fallen into an ambush by the beasts? No one had seen such a situation before. They immediately panicked. A one-star sovereign emperor immediately blasted an emperor's path divine ability at the earthen wall behind him. The terrifying power of the move completely blew up the surrounding yellow sand. But the earthen wall that had risen from the ground did not budge at all. It was indestructible. This is an earth wall reinforced by divine text crystals. It seems that we have fallen into an ambush. With a single glance, Long Yu could tell that the 3 earthen walls were reinforced with divine rune crystals. Moreover, the construction style was completely in the style of the Earth Divine tribe. He could see that the 3 earthen walls were all engraved with strange patterns. These patterns were the divine runes that the Earth Divine tribe's beasts had mastered. Ambush. How is this possible? The leader of Team 2, Tan Xiuya's face suddenly darkened. She had experienced countless battles, but she had never encountered a situation like this. They had actually been ambushed by a group of beasts. However, she had no choice but to believe it now, because right in front of them, in the direction of the Earth God Tribe's nests, a dense horde of Earth God Tribe strange beasts had appeared. The grayish-brown balls formed a formation, and there were tens of thousands of Earth God Tribe strange beasts charging at them. We have really been ambushed. Everyone, prepare for battle. Protect Elder Sue and complete his formation. The strongest person present, who was also the leader of Team 2, Tan Xiuya, immediately made a decision. She immediately issued an order and led the entire Team 2 to attack. At this moment, the back, left, and right of the group were all blocked by incredibly tall earthen walls. These earthen walls actually had the ability to block out the power of spatial divine characters, so they could only choose to fight with their lives on the line. There was no way they could escape. In front of them, thousands of Earth God Tribe beasts were charging towards them. Facing this situation, everyone could only fight with their lives on the line. Even Yizue, who was quite confident before they set off, could not help but feel a little flustered at this moment, because the number of opponents was simply too many. Anyone in such a situation would have the feeling of being caught like a turtle in a jar. Not to mention Yizue, even Long Yu was a little flustered. Fortunately, Long Yu immediately tried it, and found that the Nine Serenities mark could still use the unique spatial power of the Nine Serenities realm. With this, he was relieved. Even if something unexpected happened, he could escape at any time. He could directly leave the Shunwu world and head to the void of the Nine Serenities realm. No one could catch him. This was the biggest reason why Long Yu dared to jump into the Battle Emperor's trap. But now, both his plan and the Battle Emperor's plan seemed to have gone wrong. They had been ambushed by the Earth God Tribe beasts. Chapter 964. There was no way Long Yu would run away without a fight. Although he had a way to escape, it was something he kept for himself at the last moment. He wouldn't use it to save everyone here. After all, some of them might be the lackeys of the Battle Emperor. Following the leader of the second team, Tan Xiuya, Long Yu and Yi Ziwei charged forward one after another. Hundreds of Long Yu's ancient shadows were condensed, forming an extremely powerful force that charged directly into the thousands of Earth God strange beasts in a certain direction. Every primordial shadow would unleash the dragon breath of the nine underworlds after charging into the horde of Earth God race beasts. With the Emperor Dao's divine arts, it was extremely easy to deal with these beasts that were only at the divine secret realm, king realm, or emperor realm at most. Almost every breath of the dragon breath of the nine underworlds could kill dozens of beasts. Yi Ziwei's body exploded with lightning as she charged into the strange beasts. She was as bright as lightning in the dark, killing countless strange beasts as if she was slaughtering chickens and dogs. The other martial cultivators, including Tan Xiuya, were facing these strange beasts of the Earth God Tribe as if they were slaughtering them. There was no pressure at all. Each of them activated their defensive barriers and went on a killing spree. It seemed like the whole scene was completely one-sided. However, these weak strange beasts weren't the only ones in the strange beasts. Suddenly, a group of late Emperor Realm strange beasts appeared among the tens of thousands of Earth God Tribe strange beasts. They rushed out from the yellow sand that covered the ground and immediately messed up everyone's formation, causing them to be separated. Long Yu and Yi Ziwei were also separated by two late Emperor Realm strange beasts. Each of them fought a late Emperor Realm strange beast, but it wasn't too much pressure for them. In just 3 breaths' time, Long Yu's body was covered in the 9 underworld's divine runes. The 5-colored siphon totem rotated around him, absorbing the attacks from the strange beasts around him. Draconic breath of the 9 underworlds was blasted out by Long Yu towards the late Emperor Realm Earth God Beast. Even though the Earth God Beast was known for its defensive capabilities, it still couldn't withstand the draconic breath of the 9 underworlds. It had no choice but to retreat, leaving Long Yu's attack range. At this moment, countless Earth God beasts were surrounding him, making it impossible for Long Yu to pursue. Although Long Yu could defeat the late Emperor Realm strange beasts, he couldn't catch up to them and kill them. But right now, Long Yu didn't need to kill that many strange beasts. There were too many strange beasts for him to kill. He just wanted to hold on and see what was going on. If the Battle Emperor's men want to make a move, it should be now, right? Long Yu guessed as he defended against the attacks of the strange beasts around him. At the same time, he was also on guard for any possible assassination. But no matter how long he waited, the Battle Emperor's men didn't come. This made Long Yu a little confused. Could it be that the Battle Emperor didn't have anything planned for him? No, that's impossible. If the Battle Emperor wanted me to participate in this mission, he must want to kill me. If that's the case, why haven't his men made a move yet? Long Yu frowned. Could it be that the strange beast trap had disrupted the Battle Emperor's men's assassination plan? Behind them, on the left and on the right, there were 3 earthen walls that blocked off the space. No one from the outside could enter. If the Battle Emperor's men were waiting for an opportunity to strike, then they wouldn't be able to make a move now. After all, the people in this mission were the elites of the alliance of 5 emperors. Even though they were facing thousands of strange beasts, they didn't panic. They quickly stabilized the situation. Even if the late Emperor Realm's strange beasts rushed out, they wouldn't be able to cause too many casualties. Everyone, follow me and rush out. As long as we open the spatial barrier, we'll be safe. Tan Xiuya's voice was extremely loud, and it spread across the entire battlefield. Everyone seemed to have found their backbone and began to move towards Tan Xiuya. Right at this moment, a burst of destructive divine runes exploded from the center of the crowd. It was the 2-star Emperor and Array Master Su Chun. The destruction formation under their feet was finally completed. The Annihilation Array was instantly activated, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. Cracks appeared on the sandy wilderness and spread out in all directions. All the strange beasts of the Earth God race that it came into contact with were devoured and destroyed by these cracks. Even the people from the alliance of 5 emperors couldn't help but carefully avoid the power of the destruction formation. Because everyone's cultivation wasn't weak, they easily dodged it. But the thousands of strange beasts of the Earth God tribe weren't so lucky. On one hand, they were too weak, and on the other hand, they were too densely packed together. Even if they wanted to dodge, they couldn't, causing the entire battlefield to become a mess. The destruction formation activated the destructive divine runes in the air and instantly released a terrifying destructive force. Su Chan killed thousands of Earth God mutated beasts on the spot with just this one move. The remaining ones were the Earth God mutated beasts with decent strength and were able to hold on, or they were lucky enough to slip through the net. As the strongest array master of Shenwu World, Su Chun was able to play a huge role in the process of exterminating strange beast nests. Just like now, as long as he had enough time, he could kill most of the low-level strange beasts in a single move. As for the mid to late Emperor Realm strange beasts, without the advantage of numbers, they weren't much of a threat to the group. Kill. Long Yu didn't hesitate at all and used his shadow kill technique to turn some of the shadows in the surrounding sandstorm into black blades that instantly killed a late Emperor Realm strange beast. The black blades were aimed at the strange beast's weak point and killed it instantly. Looking at the entire battlefield, Long Yu was the only one who could kill an Earth God strange beast in a single move. Even the 2-star Emperor Tan Xiuya couldn't kill a late Emperor Realm strange beast in a single move. This was because the strange beast defense was just too strong. Unless their weak point was hit, their body was like a turtle shell that couldn't be broken. Su Chen's destruction formation activated, killing countless strange beasts and calming down the battlefield. The alliance of 5 emperors also breathed a sigh of relief as they found their targets and began to deal with the mid to late Emperor Realm strange beasts. But before they could even finish off their opponents, a large group of powerful auras appeared from the ground. Strange beasts of the Earth God tribe once again broke through the ground and charged at the group. The Earth God clan's Cosmos beasts that had appeared this time were actually a total of 10 first-star Imperial Monarch Realm Cosmos beasts, and they were led by 2 second-star Imperial Monarch Realm Cosmos beasts. The two two-star monarch mutated beasts charged towards Su Chun and Tan Xiuya. Obviously, they knew that these two were the key. As for the other one-star monarch mutated beasts, they found their own opponents and started to suppress the members of the Five Emperors Alliance. This sudden scene shocked the alliance of five emperors. So many emperor-level strange beasts. How is this possible? I wonder how Zhu Tian is doing now. Didn't Zhu Tian's friend say that this place is very safe and there aren't many strong strange beasts? Why are there so many emperor-level strange beasts here? Immediately, someone cried out in surprise. Obviously, he had some doubts. Up until now, Zhu Tian and the first scout team had not appeared again. No one knew where Zhu Tian and the others were. Were they ambushed like them? Or were they on their way back? Or were there some other possibilities? No one had the time to think carefully, because an even more intense battle was about to begin. Facing 10 one-star Emperor-level strange beasts, if they didn't give it their all, they might be completely annihilated here. Long Yu was also blocked by a one-star Monarch mutated beast. This mutated beast exuded a desolate aura. It had comprehended a type of desolate source divine rune. Its ball-like body rumbled over, directly smashing into Long Yu. It was like a giant meteor falling from the sky, bringing with it an unstoppable momentum. To this strange beast, Long Yu was just a shrimp. Late-stage Emperor Realm? He was too weak. Therefore, this strange beast didn't seem to use any powerful techniques. It directly crashed towards Long Yu with its momentum, wanting to kill Long Yu instantly. However, this strange beast had miscalculated. Although Long Yu was only a late-stage Emperor Realm Martial Dao cultivator, it wasn't that easy to kill him. 8 trigrams Heaven Suppression, suppress. Long Yu had already prepared an 8 trigrams Heaven Suppression Divine Chain when the situation changed. At this moment, it suddenly activated. 8 different colored light pillars directly suppressed the one-star Emperor-level strange beast. Long Yu had 3 breaths time. Dragon Bone Break. Long Yu raised his hand and summoned the Dragon Bone Pagoda. He instantly activated the Dragon Bone Break. The entire Dragon Bone Pagoda immediately rotated at high speed and swept towards the Earth God Strange Beast at a terrifying speed. Moreover, it was aimed at the weakest spot on its body. The Earth God Strange Beast couldn't move at all after being suppressed by the 8 trigrams Heaven Suppression Divine Chain. It could only watch as the Dragon Bone Pagoda crashed into the weakest spot on its body, creating a small pit. This physical body is indeed powerful. As expected of a one-star emperor, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He didn't hesitate and continued to use the Dragon Bone Break twice. The impact of the Dragon Bone Break 3 times directly heavily injured the Earth God's strange beast. Although it didn't kill it, it had at least reduced its combat strength by more than half. The one-star Emperor Strange Beast that had broken free from the 8 trigrams Heaven Suppression Divine Chain became extremely furious. The aura of the desolate divine characters spread from its body and instantly enveloped Long Yu. Immediately after, its body glowed with a green light. The weak spot that Long Yu had injured actually began to recover rapidly. It was completely healed in the blink of an eye. This technique, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He knew that it would be impossible for him to kill this strange beast unless he summoned the one-star Emperor level Heavenly Division puppet. Even a 9 Abyss Divine Formation wouldn't be able to kill this thing instantly. Right at this moment, Long Yu heard an exclaim from the side, and his expression changed slightly. He glanced to the side and saw that Yi Ziwei had been struck by a first-star Imperial Monarch from the Earthly God clan, and her delicate figure was blasted flying before falling onto the desert. It's about time to leave. Long Yu knew that he couldn't do much with his current strength. It was time to run. Of course, he still had to bring Yi Ziwei with him before he left. Chapter 965. Long Yu did indeed covet Yi Ziwei's Genesis Thunder Seal. However, he also knew that if he wanted to be on good terms with Yi Ziwei to the point where she would willingly hand over the Genesis Thunder Seal, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Now that there was a chance, of course, Long Yu would fight for it. Long Yu couldn't bring himself to deceive the other party's feelings. However, if Yi Ziwei owed Long Yu too many favors, Long Yu would still fight for her absolute beginning Thunder Seal, even if he had to be thick-skinned. Path of the Nine Nether. Even though all the space attribute divine characters in the entire space were sealed, Long Yu used his 7th divine ability, the high-grade divine ability, Path of the Nine Nether. He directly broke through the spatial seal and teleported to the place where Yi Ziwei was knocked down. This scene stunned the Earth God tribe's strange beasts that were fighting against Long Yu and Yi Ziwei. Obviously, they didn't expect someone to be able to use spatial teleportation in this situation. However, the two strange beasts quickly flew towards Long Yu and Yi Ziwei. The aura of the desolate divine characters spread out from their bodies. It was as if ancient creatures had descended, and their auras were incomparably terrifying. At this moment, Long Yu only briefly checked on Yi Ziwei's injuries. He discovered that she had only fainted and hadn't suffered too many injuries. With the healing elixirs that Long Yu had on him, he could easily heal her. The most important thing now was to bring Yi Ziwei away from this place and escape the encirclement of the Earth God tribe's strange beasts. Take it. Long Yu fed a healing elixir into Yi Ziwei's mouth. Then he activated the 9 Nether Mark in his dantian and began to condense the special spatial energy in the surrounding space. This spatial energy was a special spatial energy that belonged to the 9 Nether Realm. Only the Geo Dragon Emperor himself, or those who possessed the 9 Nether Mark, could use it. There was only one 9 Nether Mark in this world, and that was the one in Long Yu's body. 9 Nether Heavenly Light. Balance Control. Long Yu discovered the two 1-star Emperor-level exotic beasts were charging at him. He immediately used the 9 Underworld's Heavenly Light, shrouding the entire area in pitch-black fog. Afterwards, he used Balance Control, concealing his and Yi Ziwei's auras. At this moment, Long Yu and Yi Ziwei seemed to have completely disappeared from the scene. Not to mention a 1-star Emperor. Even a 5-star Emperor cultivator with extremely sensitive senses might not be able to detect Long Yu and Yi Ziwei. Spatial teleportation. The two strange beasts of the Earth God clan were like headless flies, swaying randomly in the 9th Underworld Heavenly Light. In less than 3 breaths, Long Yu had activated enough special space power to carry Yi Ziwei and step into the newly formed space transmission channel with her. The two figures suddenly disappeared from where they were. Then, the 9 Underworld's Heavenly Light was completely dispersed by the two strange beasts of the Earth God clan. However, they had lost track of Long Yu and Yi Ziwei. This made them quite confused. However, the battle was still very intense. The two strange beasts of the Earth God clan didn't have time to care about where Long Yu and Yi Ziwei had gone. No one knew that Long Yu had left with Yi Ziwei. Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the others watched Long Yu and Yi Ziwei being chased by the two 1-star Emperor-level exotic beasts. They wanted to help them, but they were held back by their respective opponents. When the 9 Underworld's Heavenly Light dissipated, Long Yu and Yi Ziwei's figures had completely disappeared. This made many people's hearts sink. It seemed that Long Yu and Yi Ziwei were already dead. Moreover, there was not even a corpse left. Divine Array, Heavenly Light. At this moment, Su Chun raised his hand. The infinite power of the Divine Array condensed in his hand and formed a colorful light. It suddenly shrouded the bodies of the strange beasts of the Earth God clan. This was a Divine Array technique. Although it was only a 5th-grade magical power, it played a great role at this moment. The strength of the strange beasts of the Earth God clan was all weakened by the Divine Array. Then, the pressure on everyone was suddenly relieved. However, Su Chun didn't look relaxed at all. This was because he was very clear that the strange beasts had set up this ambush. It was impossible for them to only send out this much strength. If they wanted to escape, it would be extremely difficult. As expected, just as Su Chun was thinking about this, another two strange beasts of the Earth God clan jumped out from the ground below the desert. Each of them had an extremely terrifying aura. Both of them had the cultivation strength of the 3-star Emperor. The appearance of these two strange beasts of the Earth God clan meant that the situation on the battlefield had completely collapsed. The strange beasts of the Earth God clan had an overwhelming advantage. The people of the Alliance of Five Emperors would have no ability to resist at all. Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the others instantly turned pale. However, what shocked everyone was that after these strange beasts of the Earth God clan suppressed them with their absolute strength, they didn't kill any of them. Instead, they drove them together and surrounded them in the middle. Then, a golden passageway gradually appeared in the vast desert, leading them in a certain direction. Why didn't they kill us? I don't know, but it seems like they want us to follow them. All the remaining members of the Alliance of Five Emperors were a little surprised. This had never happened before. They had destroyed a lot of strange beast nests, but they had never communicated with the strange beasts. But now, these strange beasts of the Earth God clan were actually driving them away. Obviously, these strange beasts of the Earth God clan were also intelligent, and their intelligence wasn't low. However, why were these strange beasts of the Earth God clan driving them away? No one knew the answer. Long Yu brought Yiziwei with him and activated a special space power. They directly teleported out of the encirclement set by the strange beasts of the Earth God clan through the teleportation portal. However, just as they were teleporting, Long Yu felt that there seemed to be a strange power that affected the destination of their teleportation. It was the power that Long Yu felt when they first arrived at this desert. He guessed that was the power of the holy relic of the Earth God clan. Long Yu only felt his vision blur. Suddenly, he and Yiziwei appeared at the entrance of an incomparably magnificent underground palace. This palace was located in an unknown depth underground. There was a rotten and desolate smell everywhere. It was obvious that no one had been here for countless years. Where's this place? Long Yu's heart sank. He originally wanted to teleport out of the encirclement with Yiziwei, but they were affected by the mysterious power and teleported to this underground palace. Why was this happening? However, after Long Yu arrived here, he felt that there seemed to be a sleeping soul that was about to awaken in the deepest part of this palace. That thing gave Long Yu a bad feeling, as if there was a very strong, strange beast of the Earth God clan sealed inside. Could it be that the holy relic of the Earth God clan is inside? Will this thing be useful to me? Long Yu immediately made a guess. The intuition that the 9 nether mark gave him was quite accurate. After all, the 9 nether mark was originally something that Juyo Dragon Emperor wanted to rely on after he borrowed a body to be reborn. Now, it had benefited Long Yu. No matter what, since he was already here, Long Yu didn't plan to leave casually. After all, there wasn't any danger for the time being. Even if there was danger, Long Yu believed that he would be able to escape with the help of the 9 nether mark. As long as he was still in the 9 nether realm, Long Yu's ability to escape was extremely terrifying. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to stop him from escaping. Even if he couldn't escape, he still had 2 puppets from the First Heaven tribe with him. He could summon a 5-star Emperor's combat puppet from the Jade Slip left behind by the Death Envoy. Long Yu knew that as long as an existence had reached the ruler's secret realm, it would be very difficult to step into another small world. This was because other people's small world would suppress one's own small world, greatly reducing one's fighting strength. Therefore, Long Yu had enough reason to believe that there wouldn't be any existence from the ruler's secret realm in the 9 nether realm. At most, there would be a 7-star emperor. With the 2 5-star emperor puppets, they would be able to hold on for a long time against the 7-star emperor. Why hasn't this girl woken up yet? Long Yu was ready to move. However, Yiziwei, who was in his arms, was a problem. Although Yiziwei had completely recovered after consuming the healing pill, she still hadn't woken up. Long Yu didn't know what was going on. Since Yiziwei still hadn't woken up, Long Yu could only carry her forward for the time being. Soon, Long Yu sensed the huge and magnificent palace in front of him. He discovered that this palace was built very deep underground. When he raised his head, he could see a dome. It was hard to imagine that there was such a vast space deep underground. Moreover, Long Yu felt that the place he was in seemed to be isolated from the outside world. It seems that I have accidentally entered this space, and this space has a slight connection with the outside world. Moreover, this place doesn't seem to be far from the Earth God race's nest. Who knows? There might be strange beasts of the Earth God race coming here soon. I have to hurry. With his balanced control, Long Yu was very aware of the subtle changes in his surroundings. If there was a holy relic of the Earth God race hidden in this sealed space, it was understandable that the Earth God race hadn't been able to find it after so many years. This underground space was completely sealed by the Juyo Dragon Emperor. If it wasn't for Long Yu possessing the 9 nether mark and accidentally running into this place wouldn't have been discovered even after thousands of years. Now, with Long Yu's entry, the seal of this space seemed to be gradually weakening. If the seal of this place completely disappeared, wouldn't there really be strange beasts of the Earth God race coming in? Chapter 966. Long Yu stepped into this magnificent palace and found that there were some mechanisms set up in the passageway. However, perhaps it was because of the aura of the 9 nether mark on Long Yu's body. None of these mechanisms were activated. Of course, it was also possible that too much time had passed and these mechanisms were already old and ineffective. Long Yu carried Yi Ziwei and quickly passed through this passageway that was a few miles long and stepped into a small palace. There were actually a few petrified statues in this palace. These statues looked rather strange, like some different forms of demon cultivators. When Long Yu entered this small palace, these statues suddenly seemed to come alive and released an extremely shocking aura. These statues were actually all existences at the level of the Emperor. Moreover, they could sense the arrival of others, and thus came to life. This scene gave Long Yu a big shock. Fortunately, he found that the 9 nether mark contained a special kind of power. This power seemed to be able to control these statues. I'm rich. This place is definitely an escape route that the Juyo Dragon Emperor left for himself. Long Yu tried to directly control the movements of the 4 statues and found that it was indeed feasible. In his heart, he was even more certain of his guess. This space was completely a palace that the Juyo Dragon Emperor had built for himself when he was still alive. If others came in, there would be many sealed statues of demon cultivators and strange beasts that would fight for him. In this way, even if his martial arts realm was very low after he borrowed this body to be reborn, he could hide in this place to recuperate and slowly cultivate. Then, he could once again become an overlord. Long Yu observed the 4 statues. Among them, there was a statue of a fish head and a human body, a statue of a birdman with wings, a statue of a 6-legged black bear, and a statue of a beetle. These 4 statues, under Long Yu's control, kept moving and even began to attack each other. However, they were quickly ordered by Long Yu to stop attacking each other. After all, these statues could be controlled by the 9 nether mark and were one of Long Yu's killer weapons. The 4 statues all had the power of a 1-star emperor. If they were to fight head-on, Long Yu would not be a match for any of them. I wonder how many of these statues there are in this palace. If I were to recruit all of them, wouldn't my battle prowess be terrifying? Long Yu thought to himself. However, he was soon disappointed because he discovered that the 4 statues couldn't leave this small palace. In other words, the 4 statues could only guard this small palace and couldn't command them to go anywhere else. They are only defensive statues. What a pity. Long Yu shook his head and continued forward with Yi Ziwei in his arms. This was because his target was the deepest part of the Grand Palace, not this small hall. After he left the small hall, he stepped into another passageway. The 4 statues that had come to life in the small hall seemed to have been frozen once again, completely petrified. Most likely, when other people arrive, these 4 statues will come to life again and attack the invaders. This place could very well be used by Long Yu as his base. To be able to hide the Earth God race's holy relic in such a place, Juyo Dragon Emperor, is quite impressive. Even if the Earth God race beasts that would be suppressed in Shunwu World found this palace, they wouldn't be able to pass through all the obstacles in this palace and obtain the final Earth God race's holy relic. Juyo Dragon Emperor probably never thought that he would fail to reincarnate in this body and instead benefit Long Yu. Very quickly, Long Yu followed the passageway and arrived at a slightly larger palace. This palace also had 4 statues of different shapes and sizes. All of them were at the level of a 2-star emperor. They could also be controlled by the 9 Serenities Mark and fight for Long Yu. Long Yu didn't stop and carried Yi Ziwei towards the deepest part of the palace. Just 4 hours after Long Yu stepped into the huge and magnificent palace, the dome above the palace suddenly flashed with the power of spatial divine runes, breaking the spatial seal of the entire underground space. Immediately afterward, a large group of Earth God mutated beasts emerged from the spatial passageway. The ones leading them were all Sovereign Emperor-level mutated beasts. There were several hundred of them, and every single one of them was extremely mighty. Moreover, one could sense the excitement and agitation of these mutated beasts. This wasn't their fault, as the entire Earth God race had been searching for the holy relic for over 10 million years had finally been found by them. How could they not be excited? Following that, a group of a few dozen human and beast cultivators were also brought into this underground space by the Earth God race beasts. From the looks of it, the Earth God race beasts seemed to want these human and beast cultivators to become their sacrificial pawns to test out their traps. They obviously weren't stupid. They knew that a place like this where their holy relic was buried might have a lot of traps. Therefore, Tan Xiuya, Su Chun, and the others, whom they had set up an ambush to capture alive, had all become their puppets and were treated as trap testers. Among the hundreds of Earth God race beasts, there was actually a 5-star Emperor-level existence. Under the command of this Earth God race beast, one of the 3-star Emperor-level beasts released the aura of desolate divine runes, forcing a 1-star Emperor-level member of the Alliance of 5 Emperors to fly towards the huge palace below. Facing a total of 75 entrances, the beast hesitated for a moment, then directly forced the 1-star Emperor-level member of the Alliance of 5 Emperors into the first passageway. These beasts obviously wanted to test it one by one. Following that, another beast forced another member of the Alliance of 5 Emperors into another passageway. Even Zhu Tian and the others, who had gone to investigate before Long Yu and the others were ambushed, were all captured by the Earth God race beasts. There were a total of 51 people, and they were all forced into their own passageways by these beasts. Until now, why didn't these 51 people know what was going on? This operation had been a trap from the beginning to the end. When Zhu Tian was escorted into the 15th passageway, his face was full of anger. Even though he had the abilities of a 2-star emperor, held a high position in the Alliance of 5 Emperors, and had done many things for the Alliance of 5 Emperors, he had now become a prisoner of the Earth God race beasts. Moreover, he would be forced into this palace ruins by these Earth God race beasts, and he would be used as cannon fodder to scout the way. I finally understand. The participants of this operation are all people who don't get along with the Battle Emperor, including Su Chun and Tan Xiuya. Everyone's existence is of no benefit to the Battle Emperor. I didn't expect the Battle Emperor to set up such a trap and capture all of us. Zhu Tian's heart was bleeding. He didn't think that the Battle Emperor was colluding with the Earth God race beasts. After all, they were from different clans, and there was no possibility of peaceful communication. However, most of the information provided by the Battle Emperor was fake. What did he mean by this place being safe? There weren't any powerful Earth God race beasts? To hell with it. Then what was up with these 4-star Emperor and 5-star Emperor-level Earth God race beasts? In reality, before they set off, Zhu Tian didn't believe the Battle Emperor, but a good friend of his of many years. It was his good friend who was in charge of investigating the situation in this place and obtaining all the information. Now, it seemed like his good friend was cooperating with the Battle Emperor to lie and deceive them into coming here to die. This is the life of more than 50 people, and every one of them is a pillar of the Alliance of 5 Emperors. Battle Emperor, you are actually willing to do this. Zhu Tian's hatred for the Battle Arch could be said to be at an extreme level. The entire operation was suggested by the Battle Arch. Initially, he didn't realize that the people participating in the operation were all unrelated to the Battle Arch. Now, from the looks of it, This was all a trap set up by the Battle Arch. Zhu Tian knew that the Battle Emperor might attack Long Yu during the operation, but he didn't expect that the Battle Emperor's target was all of them. Even though Zhu Tian had realized this, he was powerless to reverse the situation. He could only become a tool for the Earth God race beasts to investigate the possible traps in this palace. Now, Zhu Tian could only hope that there weren't any traps in this palace so that he could survive for a longer period of time. That way, he would have more opportunities to think about escaping. Even though the chances were slim, Zhu Tian wouldn't give up. Even though he had never experienced such a hopeless situation, he had faced many life-threatening situations. He definitely wouldn't give up until the very last moment. Zhu Tian was forced to move forward by a 4-star Emperor Earth God race beast, and he didn't encounter any dangerous situations along the way. However, just as he was moving forward, an extremely terrifying force suddenly exploded from behind him, giving him a fright. He thought that he had stepped into a trap or that the Earth God race beast was going to attack him. But when he used his probing magic power to extend behind him, he discovered that this wasn't the case. In fact, there were actually 2 pitch-black destructive light pillars that suddenly erupted from the side of the wall and directly blasted that 4-star Imperial Monarch-level Earth God beast into pieces. Not even a trace of it was left. Is this the trap in the palace ruins? Zhu Tian's heart raced. The Earth God race beast that was guarding him had been killed. Didn't that mean that he was free now? Of course, he couldn't retreat. After all, there were still other Earth God race beasts guarding outside the palace. However, he wouldn't be forced to explore this dangerous tunnel anymore. Zhu Tian didn't know how the Earth God race beast had triggered that terrifying trap. Hence, he didn't dare to move recklessly until another Earth God race beast stepped into this tunnel. Zhu Tian knew that he couldn't stay where he was. Hence, he carefully ran towards the depths of the tunnel and quickly arrived at a small palace. In this hall, there were 4 statues of different shapes, and they seemed to be very old. Chapter 9, 67. When the 4 statues in the small hall sensed Zhu Tian's aura, they instantly came to life like ice thawing. A frightening aura suddenly burst out. They're only at the level of a 1-star emperor. Zhu Tian's heart involuntarily shivered when he sensed the aura of the 4 statues. He did not stay where he was and instead moved extremely quickly. Taking advantage of the time before the 4 statues had completely come to life, he quickly passed through the small hall and arrived on the opposite side. Zhu Tian was very fast. He had already passed through the hall when the 4 statues had just woken up. They faced an Earth God beast that had entered the hall after Zhu Tian. The Earth God clan's Cosmos beast possessed the strength of a 3rd-star Imperial Monarch, and it could be considered as a formidable existence. However, as soon as it stepped into this small hall, the 4 awakened statues locked onto it, and all sorts of energy that had been dormant for a long time rumbled out. The Earth God race exotic beast was caught off guard and was hit by all kinds of attacks. Small cracks appeared on its hard body. In just a brief moment, the 4 awakened statues had injured the Earth God race's strange beast. Even though they were only at the 1st-star Imperial Monarch realm, when these 4 awakened statues joined forces, they were able to bring forth offensive might comparable to a 3rd-star Imperial Monarch. Moreover, they cooperated extremely well with each other, and they were capable of both offense and defense. They were extremely powerful. However, the Earth God beast was still a 3-star emperor. The aura of the Baron Divine inscriptions erupted from its body and directly shook the 4 awakened statues away. Then, it chased after Zhu Tian, who was nearby. Zhu Tian did not stay at the other end of the tunnel for too long. This was because he felt that the 4 statues could not stop the Earth God beast. At this moment, the Earth God beast had indeed broken through the combined attack of the 4 awakened statues. It chased after Zhu Tian out of the hall and shook off the 4 awakened statues. As long as it left the hall, the 4 statues would return to their dormancy. They would not chase after it out of the hall. In the tunnel, the Earth God beast chased after Zhu Tian again. However, the distance between them grew further and further. This was because Ju Tian's speed was extremely terrifying, even though he was only at the level of a 2-star emperor. Very soon, a slightly larger hall appeared in front of Ju Tian. He charged in, and the 4 statues awakened again. However, this time, they were 4 2-star Imperial Lord-level statue creatures. Ju Tian was simply too fast. He streaked across the hall like a bolt of lightning. He basically crossed the hall before the 4 statues could fully awaken. There were already 3 Earth God beasts chasing after him. However, before they could step into the second hall, they triggered a trap along the way. The 3 beasts were suddenly enveloped by a sudden surge of eerie power. Their tough bodies were completely corroded away. This scene gave Ju Tian a huge fright. However, it also gave him some guesses. Could it be that the traps in this majestic palace were purposefully targeted at the Earth God tribe's beasts? That was Ju Tian's guess, but he could not be certain. As a result, he felt very insecure. However, as he continued forward, he saw a figure that gave him a fright. A third hall did not appear in the tunnel ahead. Instead, a figure appeared first. It was Long Yu. Long Yu leaned against the wall of the tunnel. His eyes lit up when he saw Ju Tian, as if he had been waiting for Ju Tian. "Senior Ju Tian, you're here. Come with me." Long Yu had indeed been waiting for Ju Tian here. In reality, Long Yu had already circled around the majestic hall. He had even settled the unconscious Yi Ziwei down. Just now, he sensed the auras of many Earth God beasts appearing in this underground space. Through the 9 Hells mark, he quickly sensed that Ju Tian and the others had been sent to the majestic hall. Obviously, the Earth God beasts treated them as cannon fodder. However, Long Yu already understood that all the traps in the majestic hall were used to deal with the Earth God beasts. It was completely useless for the beasts to use Ju Tian and the other members of the Alliance of 5 Emperors as scouts. The ones that deserved to die would still die. The entire palace had a total of 75 entrances, and every single passageway led to the palace's central hall. Along the way, one had to pass through 7 small halls, and every small hall had 4 silent statues that ranged from the 1-star Imperial Monarch to the 7-star Imperial Monarch realm. The statues at the front were weaker, but towards the back, every statue was equivalent to the 7-star Emperor. They were extremely powerful. Even if the Earth God beasts at the level of the 7-star Emperor came, they would not be able to defeat them. After all, the Earth God beast strength was still suppressed here. The tricks that the Geo Dragon Emperor had left behind were no joke. They would not give the Earth God beasts any chance. Long Yu placed Yi Ziwei down and came out to welcome Ju Tian when he sensed that Ju Tian and the others had been forced in. Judging from the current situation, Long Yu was certain that Ju Tian, Su Chun, and the middle-aged woman, Tan Xiuya, were all sacrifices in the Battle Emperor's plan. Since they were the enemy of the enemy, they were on his side. Long Yu naturally had to save them. Without Long Yu, Ju Tian and the others would definitely be killed in the tunnel, even if the Earth God beasts could not pass through the hall in the tunnel. Regardless of whether it was the mechanisms or the statues, they became more and more terrifying towards the end. Even if they did not target Ju Tian and the others, they would definitely die if they were slightly affected. Simply put, without Long Yu's guidance, no one would be able to reach the central hall of the majestic palace. This was the reason why the Geo Dragon Emperor had built this majestic palace. As long as one possessed the 9 Underworlds mark, they would be able to control all the mechanisms in the majestic palace. It was a pity that Long Yu only possessed 5% of the 9 Underworlds mark. He could not control the mechanisms and statues in other places from afar. He could only make the trip himself. "Long Yu, why are you here?" Ju Tian was a straightforward person. When he saw that Long Yu had appeared here, he immediately asked this question. "It's hard to say, but all you need to know is that you will definitely be safe here with me." Long Yu smiled and said, "I once entered an ancient relic and obtained a mark there. I discovered that I can even control the statues and creatures in this palace with that mark." Of course, Long Yu could not reveal all his secrets to Ju Tian. It was fine if he casually mentioned it. Anyway, Long Yu only treated Zhu Tian as one of his own. Thus, he wanted to save Zhu Tian's life and had no intention of relying on him. Once he had saved everyone he could, Long Yu would explore the area behind the central hall of the majestic palace alone. The Earth God clan's sacred item should be in the area behind the central hall. Zhu Tian had originally fallen into a hopeless situation. He had not expected to meet Long Yu here, nor had he expected Long Yu to be able to control the things in this majestic palace. He was overjoyed when he heard this. That old thing, the Battle Emperor? If I can return alive this time, I will definitely not let him off easy. Zhu Tian said hatefully. This operation was a trap that the old thing, the Battle Emperor, had single-handedly planned. He sent us here to die. We will definitely have the chance to take our revenge. Long Yu spoke with a deeper meaning. Then, he led Zhu Tian into the depths of the palace. The two of them passed through hall after hall. The statues and creatures kept awakening, but just as Long Yu had said, they were controlled by Long Yu and did not attack the two of them. As for the Earth God clan beasts, they were directly blocked by countless traps. It was impossible to eliminate the traps in this palace with just a few hundred beasts that were at the level of 3 to 5-star Emperor-level beasts. One had to know that the traps could be activated as long as they were charged. Over the past tens of millions of years, the traps have been filled with an endless amount of energy. It was enough to kill thousands of Emperor-level beasts. Soon, Zhu Tian and Long Yu arrived at the central hall of the majestic palace. There was only one entrance to the central hall, which was the 15th entrance. The other 74 entrances of the palace did not lead to this central hall. Instead, there were even more traps set up along the way that led to the 15th entrance. Simply put, there were a total of 307-star Emperor-level statues among the 75 entrances, and they were all guarding outside the central hall. This was definitely an unstoppable force in the Shun Wu world. Long Yu's plan was to first save everyone, then obtain the Earth God clan's holy relic. Finally, he would use the 9 underworld mark to send everyone out. Of course, this plan would not go so smoothly because the Earth God clan's holy relic was here. Now that the Earth God clan had discovered it, how could they possibly give up? There would definitely be an endless stream of Earth God clan beasts coming here. Even Long Yu didn't dare to imagine what would happen in the end. It was possible that the endless stream of Earth God clan beasts would attract the attention of the forces from beyond the heavens, causing them to send people over. It was also possible that Earth God clan beasts of the ruler's secret realm would appear and kill their way into this grand hall. No matter what, Long Yu had to obtain the Earth God clan's holy relic. Even if the forces from beyond the heavens sent people over, they wouldn't be able to stop Long Yu's plan. When he arrived at the central hall, Zhu Tian merely took a single glance before he was shocked to the extreme. If it was said that the 300 statues of 7-star imperial monarchs outside the central hall shocked him, then there were actually rows upon rows of statues of 7-star imperial monarchs within the central hall, and there were over 1,000 of them. As soon as Zhu Tian stepped into the central hall, he discovered that these statues were all under Long Yu's control. Among them, several hundred were guarding an unconscious, delicate body, which was Yi Ziwei. Senior Zhu Tian, you should rest here for now. These statues won't do anything to you. I'll go and save the others first. Chapter 968. There were a total of 56 people participating in the extermination of the exotic beast's nest. However, in the process of fighting the Earth God exotic beasts, several of them had already lost their lives. Another dozen or so had died to the statues and traps when they were forced to explore the magnificent palace. About a day later, Long Yu finally rescued everyone who was still alive. Including Long Yu and Yi Ziwei, there were only 41 people left. Su Chun and Tan Shuya, the two 2-star Emperor-level cabinet elders of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, were still alive. Everyone was placed in the central hall, and they were protected by over 1,000 7-star Imperial Monarch-level statues. Everyone was extremely grateful to Long Yu. Honestly speaking, they all thought they were dead for sure, but they didn't expect to bring Long Yu with them on this trip. It was Long Yu's fortuitous encounter that gave them hope of survival. Everyone, please rest here. I'll search deeper into the palace to see if there are any teleportation arrays or spatial tunnels that can leave this place, Long Yu said to everyone. After Long Yu finished speaking to everyone, he walked towards the back of the central palace alone. The thousands of 7-star Emperor-level statues were left here to protect the remaining 40 people, as well as to restrict their movements. Long Yu didn't want anyone to disturb him when he was searching for the sacred relic. Although he had saved these people, no one knew what they were thinking. After all, the human heart was unpredictable. Naturally, Long Yu wouldn't bring anyone with him when he went to search for the Earth God's sacred relic. The only thing that puzzled Long Yu was that Yi Ziwei still hadn't woken up. He wondered if something had happened to her. However, Long Yu was sure that he had healed all her injuries. As for why she hadn't woken up yet, Long Yu didn't know. After leaving the central palace, Long Yu went straight to the back of the magnificent palace and the throne room. The structure of the magnificent palace wasn't complicated. After the central palace, there was a back hall. There were many precious treasures in the back hall. There were ancient and arcane combat weapons, martial skills, pills, and everything else. These were originally prepared by the Geo-Dragon Emperor for himself. Now, they all belonged to Long Yu. After entering the back hall, Long Yu looted everything. Unfortunately, not many of these treasures were useful to Long Yu. There was no need for martial skills and combat weapons. Ancient and arcane combat weapons weren't good, but Long Yu didn't need them, especially since the back hall only stored low-grade, medium-grade, and high-grade weapons. There weren't any supreme-grade or supreme-grade weapons. There were quite a few pills here that were very useful to Long Yu. Unfortunately, more than half of the pills had lost their effects due to the passage of time. As for the remaining pills, Long Yu did not dare to casually consume them. Now that the Death Envoy isn't here, who should I look for to identify these pills? Long Yu was quite troubled. Before knowing the effects of these pills, he certainly didn't dare to use them casually. If something went wrong after taking them, it wouldn't be worth it, no matter how he thought about it. Long Yu couldn't think of anyone to identify these pills. In the end, he had to give up. I'm afraid I'll only have a chance to find out what these pills are when I go beyond the sky. Long Yu felt a little regretful about this. Of course, these treasures in the back hall weren't very useful to Long Yu. However, if he brought these treasures to the people of the Northern Snow Empire and the Heavenly Mandate Manor, their effects would be completely different. These things could at least increase the overall strength of Long Yu's friends by at least 10 times. In the back hall, there were also 100 statues of creatures at the level of the 7-star Emperor. Under the command of Long Yu, these statues guarded the back hall loyally and didn't let anyone pass. After collecting all the things in the back hall, Long Yu continued to walk toward the back hall. Behind the back hall was the most important place in the entire magnificent palace, the treasure hall. If Long Yu's guess was right, the sacred relic of the Earth God clan was hidden in this treasure hall. With the existence of the mark of the 9 serenities in Long Yu's body, he was equivalent to the master of the entire magnificent palace. He could do whatever he wanted and control everything in it. It didn't take long for Long Yu to walk from the back hall to the treasure hall. During this time, he sensed that there were several fierce attacks from the beasts of the Earth God clan at the 75 entrances of the magnificent palace. However, it was obvious that the beasts of the Earth God clan couldn't break through this magnificent palace. After only 2 days in this magnificent palace, Long Yu stepped into the treasure hall at the back. He saw a dazzling yellow hexagonal crystal floating on a stone platform in the center of the entire treasure hall. There was no light at all in other places in the magnificent palace. However, in the treasure hall, the dazzling yellow hexagonal crystal in the center was shining like a small sun. This hexagonal crystal is the sacred relic of the Earth God clan. Long Yu suppressed the excitement in his heart. He could feel that the earthen yellow hexagonal crystal contained an endless amount of power. Long Yu sensed that the power of all the beasts of the Earth God clan seemed to originate from this hexagonal crystal. It contained the power of 6 powerful divine characters. One of them was the Desolation divine character, another was the Earth elemental divine character, and the other 4 divine characters that Long Yu had sensed from other beasts of the Earth God clan. The reason why this thing is said to be the sacred relic of the Earth God clan is because all the power of the beasts of the Earth God clan originates from this thing. Long Yu guessed as he slowly walked towards the center of the treasure hall. He gradually approached the hexagonal crystal. Even though the hexagonal crystal emitted a dazzling light, it couldn't stop Long Yu's footsteps. In next to no time, Long Yu raised his hand and held the hexagonal crystal in his hand. There was no danger. The hexagonal crystal was cold all over. After Long Yu held it, the dazzling yellow light was immediately covered. Although I don't know what use this thing has for me, since the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor values it so much, I'll keep it first and study it later, Long Yu thought to himself. At this moment, a loud explosion came from the direction of the central hall of the magnificent palace. This explosion caused Long Yu to be startled. After keeping the hexagonal crystal stone, he immediately turned around and flew away. Just as Long Yu expected, the appearance of the sacred relic of the Earth God clan made the beasts of the Earth God clan unable to sit still. The beasts of the Earth God clan who were at the level of the 7-star Emperor arrived at the realm of Hades from God knows how far away. Then they passed through the space tunnel and arrived at the underground space where the magnificent palace was located. These beasts of the Earth God clan weren't stupid. In fact, they were very smart. They only spent a day to investigate the situation of the 75 entrances. After sacrificing countless cannon fodder, they broke through the 75 entrances and destroyed all the traps and mechanisms. They also blasted the weaker statue creatures into pieces. Just as Long Yu picked up the sacred relic of the Earth God clan, a group of 300 to 400 beasts of the 7-star Emperor level from the Earth God clan rushed into the central hall, where Zhu Tian, Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the others were. Zhu Tian, Su Chun, and Tan Xiuya didn't dare to make a move at this moment. They could only lead the people of the alliance of 5 emperors in retreat, leaving the thousands of statue creatures in the central hall to deal with the beasts of the Earth God clan. When the 300 to 400 beasts of the 7-star Emperor level from the Earth God clan rushed in, 100 statue creatures were still protecting Easy Way. Another 100 statue creatures were protecting the other 40 people. The remaining 800 statue creatures went forward to stop the beasts of the Earth God clan. Even though the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor had left many backup plans for himself, he still underestimated the importance the Earth God clan placed on their sacred relic. Over 300 beasts of the 7-star Emperor level from the Earth God clan was a huge number to the entire Earth God clan. One had to know that the next step for the 7-star Emperor was the ruler's secret realm, where a small world would be born in his body. With so many beasts of the 7-star Emperor level from the Earth God clan, it was definitely a terrifying force. The Earth God clan had actually sent them out within a day, and they had broken into this magnificent palace. In the central hall, the statue creatures and the beasts of the Earth God clan were completely locked in battle. Even in such a high-level battle, the surrounding walls of the magnificent palace didn't show any signs of being damaged. It was obvious how sturdy the materials used to build the palace were. A terrifying force exploded in the central hall, causing Su Chun, Zhu Tian, Tan Xiuya, and the others to tremble in fear. They had never seen a battle of this level before. If a single wisp of the force were to spread and affect them, they would all be turned into ashes in an instant. If it weren't for the 100 statue creatures protecting them, they would have died a few hundred times over. At this moment, they were all thinking about the same thing. Where was Long Yu now? If Long Yu still didn't appear and more beasts from the Earth God clan arrived, the statue creatures wouldn't be able to stop them at all. By then, they would all be finished. I wonder what's in this palace that attracted so many beasts. I've never seen so many beasts of the Emperor level. Furthermore, they're all at the peak of the Emperor level, Zhu Tian murmured as he watched the battle unfold before him in great shock. I hope Long Yu isn't in any danger and that he can find the exit as soon as possible. Tan Xiuya said in a deep voice, "This place is probably very important to the Earth God clan. No matter what they want from this place, it's not something we can participate in. That's right. Although such an unprecedented battle is spectacular, it's better for us to stay far away. Su Chun, the Spirit Array Grandmaster, also nodded. Chapter 969. In the central hall of the Grand Palace, the battle between the Earth God's strange beasts and the statue creatures was extremely intense. Just as everyone was feeling uneasy, Long Yu's voice finally came from behind them. "Everyone, come with me. I've found the exit to this place. It's too dangerous here, so we should all leave as soon as possible." Long Yu's urgent voice rang out. Immediately after, his figure appeared within the range of everyone's perception. He opened a stone door and led the crowd to the back. Whether it was Su Chun, Zhu Tian, or Tan Xiuya, none of them had any reason to doubt Long Yu. Because if it weren't for Long Yu, all of them would have already died at the hands of the Earth God's strange beasts. They didn't know what the Earth God's strange beasts were trying to find here, but they couldn't care less at this point in time. The most important thing right now was to stay alive. Since Long Yu had found the exit, there was no need for them to stay any longer. Long Yu picked up Yi Ziwei again, then led everyone towards the back of the palace. He had already created a spatial warp tunnel in the back of the Grand Palace. Using the unique spatial energy sensed by the 9 Serenities mark, he could teleport everyone to a safe corner of Shunwu World. However, what Long Yu didn't expect was that as soon as he appeared, he would cause all the Earth God's strange beasts to go berserk. The Earth God's strange beasts seemed to have sensed the presence of their holy artifact on Long Yu's body, so they all unleashed their strongest attacks, instantly destroying the statue creatures one after another. Even though these statues were all at the level of the 7-star Emperor, even though the Earth God's strange beasts were heavily suppressed in Shunwu World, at this very moment, for the sake of their Earth God race's holy artifact, they all went berserk and did everything they could to keep Long Yu here. In just 3 breaths' time, over 100 of the 7-star Emperor statue creatures in the Central Hall had been destroyed. Furthermore, just as Long Yu's group was escaping, a terrifying and heavy presence instantly filled the entire underground space. The entire Grand Palace was instantly affected by this terrifying and heavy presence. As if an earthquake was happening, the sturdy materials used to construct the Grand Palace began to crack. "What is it?" Long Yu and the others were still running back when they felt the entire palace tremble. Immediately after, everyone was enveloped by a terrifying and heavy aura. Clearly, some incomparably powerful existence had descended into this underground space. Has the speculation finally become reality? I'm afraid that the Earth God race's sovereign secret realm expert has arrived. Long Yu's face slightly changed. Fortunately, they would be able to leave soon. "Hurry up, don't stop," Long Yu shouted. Very quickly, Su Chun and Zhu Tian, who were walking at the front, saw a teleportation channel. Without thinking, they jumped into it. Following closely behind them were the other members of the Alliance of 5 Emperors. No one dared to stay there for even a breath's time. Everyone entered the teleportation channel in a single file. Long Yu was the last in line. He held Yi Ziwei in his arms and was about to follow the others into the teleportation channel. However, just as he stepped into the teleportation channel, a terrifying force from outside the majestic palace shattered the void and penetrated the teleportation channel. "Let's go." With Yi Ziwei in his arms, Long Yu rushed into the teleportation channel. However, he discovered that he and Yi Ziwei weren't teleported to the designated location. Instead, they were teleported to an endless void in the 9 Nether Realm. That strange beast of the Earth God race that descended at the end of the ruler's secret realm actually forcefully changed the direction of Long Yu's teleportation, causing him to not appear in Shunwu World, but in the boundless void of the 9 Nether Realm, millions of li away from Shunwu World. Are we safe now? Long Yu wasn't sure. He could imagine that since the Earth God race's sovereign secret realm expert had appeared, it wouldn't let Long Yu go so easily and give up on the sacred relic on Long Yu's body. Long Yu had studied the Earth God race's sacred relic for a bit and discovered that it didn't seem to be of much use to him. However, since the Geo-Dragon Emperor had placed it so carefully in the palace, it couldn't be useless. Just as Long Yu was about to teleport again with Yi Ziwei, he discovered that all the spatial energy around him had been completely sealed, making it impossible for him to use any form of spatial energy. Even though he had the 9 Nether Mark, it was useless against a powerful existence from the Sovereign Secret Realm. A yellow shadow of a strange beast appeared in the endless void not too far away from Long Yu. Its boundless aura swept towards Long Yu, shocking him on the spot. The Sovereign Secret Realm. This was a realm that surpassed the Monarch Path and the Emperor's Realm. An existence with such cultivation had a small world inside its body, a small world similar to the 9 Nether Realm. An existence at this level could completely crush Long Yu. Long Yu didn't have the slightest chance of resisting it. As the Earth God race's sacred relic appeared, Long Yu's face sank. Should I return the Earth God race's sacred relic to this fellow? However, even if Long Yu took the initiative to hand over the Earth God race's sacred relic, the Earth God race's sacred relic wouldn't let Long Yu go, right? No matter what, Long Yu didn't give up on his last hope. He was sure that when the Earth God race's sacred relic appeared, the people from beyond the heavens wouldn't sit idly by. Otherwise, the Beast Horde would have already occupied the entire 9 Nether Realm. After all, the 9 Nether Realm belonged to the human race. Even when the Earth God race's sacred relic appeared not too far away, Long Yu remained calm and composed. Most importantly, he knew that the situation was beyond his control. No matter what Long Yu did, he wouldn't be able to change the final outcome. Right now, Long Yu's life was completely in the hands of the people from beyond the heavens. Roar, roar, roar. The Earth God race's sacred relic appeared in the void not too far away from Long Yu. Its body emitted a terrifying and heavy aura, and it let out a deep roar. In the next moment, a yellow beam of divine runes shot towards Long Yu. Under the terrifying pressure of the sacred relic, Long Yu couldn't dodge even if he wanted to. He could only watch helplessly as the beam of divine runes shot towards him. If the people from beyond the heavens didn't send any reinforcements, Long Yu would be reduced to ashes in an instant. When the final moment arrived, Long Yu discovered that his guess was right. An ethereal light screen filled with immortal chi appeared in front of Long Yu, protecting Long Yu and Yi Ziwei. It easily blocked the beam of divine runes from the Earth God race's beam of divine runes. Accompanied by an incomparably faintly discernible aura, a snow-white figure bathed in faintly discernible celestial chi appeared in the endless void. This woman was actually Concubine Yu, whom Long Yu hadn't seen in a long time. Long Yu's eyes widened in an instant. Consort Yu was someone that would always appear in his dreams. The reason why he was reborn into this world was probably because of Consort Yu. Ever since Consort Yu appeared and forged the Netherworld Dragon Blade for Long Yu, she hadn't appeared again. Who would have thought that she would suddenly appear and block the Earth God race's sacred relic for Long Yu? Earth God race, how dare you violate the oath? An ethereal thought spread across the battlefield. When Long Yu and the Earth God race's strange beast heard it, it said, "Since you've come to the human race's territory, don't even think about leaving alive. My race, the sacred relic. Hand over the sacred relic, and I'll die. Otherwise, I'll perish together with you." A heavy thought spread across the battlefield. Long Yu immediately sensed that this was the thought of the Earth God race's strange beast. His heart couldn't help but tremble. It seemed like the Earth God race's strange beast was also able to communicate with humans. It was just that he didn't know how it did it. Perish together? How naive. The ethereal thought smiled faintly. In the next moment, the snow-white figure in the dense, immortal chi floated into the air. A wave of dense, immortal chi burst out, instantly surrounding the Earth God race's strange beast. It was obvious that both sides were fighting, but with Long Yu's current level, he had no idea what was happening on the battlefield. Even a ruler's secret realm existence's strength would be greatly suppressed in a small world like the 9 Nether Realm. But even so, they could still kill countless existences on the level of the 7-star Emperor in an instant, not to mention a small shrimp like Long Yu. Long Yu couldn't sense the situation on the battlefield. All he knew was that the battle between Consort Yu and the Earth God race's strange beast was giving off terrifying shockwaves. If they were fighting on Shenwu World, the entire Shenwu world might be destroyed. A few moments later, Long Yu felt as if a layer of immortal qi had enveloped him and Yi Ziwei, making them feel as if they didn't exist. Consort Yu is helping me and Yi Ziwei hide our tracks? Is she afraid that Yi Ziwei and I will be accidentally injured? Long Yu's heart skipped a beat, but he soon realized that wasn't the case, because he noticed that there were many other powerful existences on the battlefield, and each of them was at least at the ruler's secret realm level. They were hiding in the void nearby, and with Long Yu's perception, he couldn't detect them at all. Long Yu didn't know what these existences were and didn't know when they came. He could only vaguely sense their auras through the immortal qi that Consort Yu had created. Long Yu knew that it was time for him to watch the show, because in this kind of situation, there was nothing he could do. The battle between Consort Yu and the Earth God race's strange beast soon came to an end. Just as Consort Yu had said, the Earth God race's strange beast was too naive. Strange beasts that came to the human race's territory didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant at all. In just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the Earth God race's strange beast was blasted into pieces by the immortal qi. It lost its life, and the small world inside its body was completely destroyed. Even strange beasts from the ruler's secret realm were extremely weak in front of stronger existences. This made Long Yu want to know, what kind of power did Consort Yu have? Chapter 970. Long Yu held the unconscious Yi Ziwei in his arms as he stared anxiously at the powerful existences that appeared in the void around him. Every single one of them was a terrifying expert from the sovereign secret realm. 1, 2, 3. A total of 7 experts from the sovereign secret realm. Did they come here because of the Earth God tribe's beast? Long Yu frowned. But if they came here to deal with the Earth God tribe's beast, why didn't they appear earlier? Why did they let Consort Yu deal with the beast by herself? Long Yu didn't make the slightest sound. Even with Consort Yu's immortal qi covering him, he still used the balance control secret art to conceal his and Yi Ziwei's auras. With this double insurance, none of the experts from the sovereign secret realm noticed Long Yu's presence. Consort Yu, what are you doing in our Lushan clan's territory? One of the experts from the sovereign secret realm snorted coldly. The moment he appeared, he released a wave of pressure towards Consort Yu in an attempt to intimidate Consort Yu. Unfortunately for him, Consort Yu didn't put him in her eyes at all. The Nine Netherworld is the origin of our Nine Nether clan. Even though it's under the jurisdiction of your Lushan clan, you're too disappointing. Even a sovereign beast was able to barge into this place. Consort Yu spoke indifferently. Her entire body flickered in and out of existence, and she exuded an extraordinary aura. Even when facing 7 hostile experts from the sovereign secret realm, she didn't show the slightest bit of fear. Long Yu listened to Consort Yu's words, and he began to ponder his heart. The Nine Netherworld is the origin of the Nine Nether clan. Does that mean that Consort Yu belongs to the Nine Nether clan? According to the jade slip left behind by the Death Envoy, the entire Nine Nether tribe had left the Nine Netherworld for the Beyond Heaven world, and they had developed quite well. In that case, the Jiuyu tribe developed into the Jiuyu tribe after arriving in the Beyond Heaven world. Previously, the 2 cranes of the Heavenly First tribe mentioned that the Heavenly First tribe belonged to the Lushan clan. That means that in the Beyond Heaven's world, the human tribe is mainly divided according to the clans. The Lushan clan and the Jiuyu clan are 2 very large clans. As for the Symbol clan and the Tiani tribe, these 2 tribes are only under the jurisdiction of the Lushan clan. The strength of the tribes is definitely not comparable to that of the clans. From Concubine Yu's simple words, Long Yu understood a lot of things that he didn't know before. These things were obviously not secrets in the Beyond Heaven world. It could even be said that everyone knew about them. But in the Shenwu world, The only ones who knew about these things were probably existences at the level of the 5 emperors. Even the Death Envoy probably didn't know about these things. After all, the Death Envoy had been alive for too long. Now that so much time had passed, it was impossible for the Death Envoy to know about the situation in the Beyond Heaven world, not to mention that the Death Envoy was already dead, since the Lushan clan can't manage the 9 Netherworld. Why don't you return it to the Juyo clan? Concubine Yu spoke in an indifferent tone. Her words infuriated the 7 sovereign secret realm experts around her. Haha, Consort Yu, how strong do you think your Juyo clan is? To the Lushan clan, you're nothing. One of the sovereign mystic realm experts laughed heartily. Since the 9 Netherworld was originally allocated to the Lushan clan, it is the property of the Lushan clan. The Juyo clan has no right to interfere. Allowing the younger generation of the Juyo clan to come here to train is already giving us face. Don't be so shameless. Then what do you want now? Consort Yu chuckled softly. Her figure was faintly discernible, and it was as though she didn't put the 7 people in her eyes at all. Cut the crap and get out of the 9 Netherworld. Even if other sovereign beasts appear, the Lushan clan will deal with them. It has nothing to do with you. Another sovereign mystic realm expert said, and his body emitted boundless lightning aura. It was as though he was going to start a fight at any moment. I just want to travel around the 9 Netherworld. What do you do to me? Consort Yu chuckled when she heard that. Misty immortal chi spread out from her body, enveloping the 7 sovereign mystic realm experts. Her figure became faintly discernible, and with a few leaps, she appeared in another direction in the void. Long Yu opened his eyes and saw that the 7 sovereign mystic realm experts from the Lushan clan were trapped in a cage made of immortal chi, and none of them were able to escape. This Consort Yu is so powerful. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect that Consort Yu would be able to deal with 7 sovereign mystic realm experts at the same time with such ease. She even managed to trap all of them. If I wanted to kill all of you, none of you would be able to escape. Now, why are you still here? Consort Yu's voice drifted into the ears of the 7 sovereign mystic realm experts, and they lost their courage in an instant. They didn't dare to stay and talk to Consort Yu anymore. Even though the 9 Netherworld was the territory of the Lushan clan, Consort Yu was much stronger than the 7 of them. You wait. We, the Lushan clan, won't let anyone bully us like this. One of the 7 people left behind some ruthless words. Then, he disappeared into the void along with the other 6 people. Obviously, they had left the 9 Serenities world to go to the Beyond, the Heaven Sek Shan clan, to ask for reinforcements. Seeing the 7 sovereign mystic realm experts retreating in fear, Long Yu found it harder and harder to guess Consort Yu's strength. Initially, he thought that Consort Yu was an ordinary sovereign mystic realm expert. But now, it seemed like an ordinary sovereign mystic realm expert wasn't a match for Consort Yu. We don't have much time. Make it short. After the 7 sovereign mystic realm experts left, Consort Yu waved her hand, and a barrier of immortal chi enveloped herself, Long Yu, and Yeezy Wei. It was obvious that she had something to tell Long Yu. Senior, please speak. Faced with Consort Yu, Long Yu was incomparably respectful, whether it was because of her strength or because she had saved his life many times. Even though Long Yu had a lot of questions to ask Consort Yu, the most important of which was why he was reborn into this world, he didn't have much time. Hence, Long Yu didn't ask this question and chose to listen to Consort Yu obediently. After all, under such circumstances, Long Yu felt that he would have many opportunities to meet Consort Yu in the future. Since time was tight, there was no need to ask questions that weren't important. In any case, the answer wouldn't affect Long Yu much. You've already obtained the 9 Nether Mark. That's pretty fast. I'll come and pick you up once you've completely mastered the 9 Nether Mark. Consort Yu's ethereal voice sounded. Pick me up? Pick me up where? Long Yu was a little puzzled. Great world, human race, Juyo tribe. Consort Yu said very briefly, and then said, when you've mastered the 9 Nether Mark, the entire 9 Nether realm will belong to you, and you will belong to our Juyo tribe. Do you understand? Once these words were spoken, Long Yu instantly understood many questions. Consort Yu had been taking such good care of him all this while because she wanted to take back the entire Nine Nether Realm. Just as Long Yu knew, the Juyo tribe used to be the Nine Nether tribe in the Nine Nether Realm, and was an important medium through which the Juyo Dragon Emperor had arranged for him to be reborn. Unfortunately, the existence of the Envoy of Death had ruined the Juyo Dragon Emperor's plan. The main reason was to send the people of the Nine Nether tribe out of the Nine Nether Realm and become the current Juyo tribe of the human race. Although the Juyo tribe was not weak now, and could even be very strong, this could be seen just by looking at the current Consort Yu. However, the Juyo tribe still wanted to take back the Nine Nether Realm. The current Nine Nether Realm was controlled by the Lushan clan of the human race, but once Long Yu was cultivated, then the Nine Nether Realm would belong to Long Yu. If Consort Yu brought Long Yu back to the Juyo tribe, wouldn't that mean that she had obtained the entire Nine Nether Realm? I understand now. Long Yu said in a low voice. When he understood all this, many of the questions in his heart disappeared. This was, of course, a good thing for him. At least he now knew why Consort Yu had helped him so many times. It seemed that many of the things he had done along the way had been calculated by Consort Yu. That's good. Consort Yu was very satisfied with Long Yu's intelligence. She raised her hand, and a dense divine chi instantly covered Long Yu's body. She seemed to have done something to his body. Then, Consort Yu explained, "Now, there's a camouflage mark on your dantian. Apart from me, no one else can discover the mark of the Nine Nether in your dantian. You can also hide the sacred objects of the exotic beasts in your dantian, so they won't be discovered by the exotic beasts." "Thank you, Senior." Long Yu nodded. This move of Consort Yu was obviously to protect him, to prevent him from falling into danger that he could not resist. As for other dangers, Long Yu would be able to handle them with his own strength. You don't have to think too much. When you completely master the mark of the Nine Nether and take back the Nine Nether Realm, you will be the hero of the Juyo tribe. Everything in the Nine Nether Realm will belong to you, except for one thing, the Nine Nether Prison Tablet. Consort Yu smiled and said, "In fact, the Nine Nether Prison Tablet will still belong to you, but you will need to place it in the Juyo tribe and let the geniuses of the Juyo tribe comprehend it. You can comprehend it together with them." Long Yu instantly knew that his guess was not accurate enough. Consort Yu and the Juyo Dragon Emperor wanted to take back the Nine Nether Realm, not because it was their hometown, but because of the Nine Nether Prison Tablet that sealed the final will of the Juyo Dragon Emperor. What is the Nine Nether Prison Tablet? Long Yu couldn't help but ask. I don't know either, but after some speculation, it might be related to the gods and the legends. Consort Yu's voice was a little uncertain. I'll tell you more when you come to the Juyo tribe. I don't have much time now. I have to go. Okay. Long Yu nodded. He now knew that every time Consort Yu appeared in the Nine Nether Realm, she was under pressure. After all, the Nine Nether Realm now belonged to the Lushan clan, not the Nine Nether clan. Chapter 971. For Consort Yu, Long Yu had no choice but to follow her orders. Moreover, Consort Yu didn't just treat Long Yu as a tool. She would abandon him after obtaining the Nine Serenities realm. This was still acceptable to Long Yu. The girl you're carrying seems to be quite talented. I'll take her with me. If she can pass the test, I'll take her as my disciple. Immediately after, Concubine Yu glanced at Yi Ziwei, who was in Long Yu's embrace, and spoke with some joy. Hearing this, Long Yu's heart tightened. It can't be. Consort Yu is interested in Yi Ziwei? What should I do? Long Yu was still thinking that after this incident, his relationship with Yi Ziwei would become a little better. However, Long Yu didn't dare to refuse Consort Yu's request. Most importantly, if Yi Ziwei were awake, she would be willing to follow Consort Yu. After all, Consort Yu is a powerful existence in the Nine Serenities clan of the human race. If she followed Consort Yu, her progress on the path of martial arts would definitely be faster. Yes. Long Yu nodded and let go of Yi Ziwei in his arms. He trusted Consort Yu a lot. At least, Consort Yu wouldn't harm Yi Ziwei. If Yi Ziwei wasn't taken away by Consort Yu, the Lushan clan would probably discover the absolute beginning Thunder Seal on Yiziwei during the exploration of the realm of divine martial arts. At that time, Yiziwei would definitely be taken away by the Lushan clan. Since she would be taken away anyway, Long Yu was more inclined to let Yiziwei follow Consort Yu. After all, Consort Yu was on the same side as him. Within the dense, immortal Qi, Concubine Yu slightly waved her hand and brought Yiziwei away. Immediately after, she brought Yiziwei along and directly disappeared from Long Yu's sight. From the looks of it, they had left the Nine Nether Realm. Only Long Yu was left in the void. Long Yu didn't think too much about it and immediately took action. He activated the Nine Nether Mark, condensed a teleportation channel with special spatial energy, and stepped into it. To Long Yu, the biggest task now was to completely master the Nine Nether Mark. But before that, Long Yu still had some other things to do. He could not ignore the Northern Snow Empire and the Heavenly Mandate Manor. The Battle Emperor was targeting him and wanted to kill everyone. Long Yu couldn't let him do as he pleased. Long Yu returned to the continent of the Shinwu world through the teleportation channel. He briefly checked the Jade Scroll that Consort Yu had just left for him. The Jade Scroll recorded the Elixir Scripture, which recorded most of the elixirs in the world. It could be said to be the most precious treasure of the Jiuyo clan. In the Jiuyo clan, only those with high status could read it. Long Yu needed this thing right now, because he had obtained many elixirs from the palace where the Earth God clan's sacred relic was located. He didn't know what those elixirs were used for. But if he compared them with the elixir scripture, Long Yu would be able to understand the effects of these elixirs. Of course, now is not the time for Long Yu to study the elixirs. He calculated that there were 6 days left until the exploration of the divine martial realm's core. In these 6 days, he had to find a way to get rid of the Battle Emperor and return to the Northern Snow Empire. Battle Emperor, you've done the right thing by targeting me. It's time for the people of the Alliance of Five Emperors to taste the bitter fruit. Long Yu had already thought of a plan. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. Then, he moved and teleported to a corner of a mountain range in the Shinwu world. In this corner of the mountain range, Su Chun, Zhu Tian, Tan Xiuya, and more than 40 experts from the Alliance of Five Emperors, who were almost killed by the Battle Emperor, were waiting for Long Yu to appear. They teleported out from the Grand Palace in the underground space and appeared in this mountain range. It was about 10,000 miles away from the desert where the Earth God clan's beasts gathered. It was relatively close. However, when they all came out, they realized that neither Long Yu nor Yiziwei had come out. The spatial tunnel had been completely closed. No one believed that Long Yu would die just like that. So they decided to wait here for a while. Sure enough, 2 hours later, Long Yu's figure appeared in front of them. However, Yiziwei was no longer in his arms. This did not affect their joyful mood. They all came forward to greet him. Little brother Long Yu, why did you take so long to come over? Did something happen? Spirit Formation Master Su Chun stepped forward and asked Long Yu. Long Yu had come back because he had thought of a way to deal with the Battle Emperor. The key steps of the plan still needed to be carried out by these people, so he had to build a good relationship with them. Of course, even if it wasn't for Long Yu, these people already hated the Battle Emperor to the bone. Not to mention, Long Yu had saved all of their lives. Nothing too surprising. However, the matter of the Earth God clan's beasts has been resolved. We don't have to worry about the beasts anymore. Long Yu smiled at Su Chun and said, "Next, let's discuss how to deal with the Battle Emperor." Deal with the Battle Emperor. At the mention of this, all the people present suddenly became excited in their hearts. The middle-aged woman, Tan Xiuya, also walked over and said with a serious expression, "Long Yu, since you said that you want to deal with the Battle Emperor, you must have a plan in mind. Why don't you tell me directly? If you need my help, I won't refuse." Tan Xiuya was a dull woman. However, from her words, it was obvious that she also wanted the Battle Emperor to suffer. This is very simple. The underground space and the Grand Palace that we were in previously are all gone. We can lure the Battle Emperor there and set a trap in advance. As long as the Battle Emperor comes, he will definitely die. A murderous intent flashed in Long Yu's eyes as he said this. Before meeting up with Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the others, he had returned to the magnificent palace to check it out. He found that it was littered with the corpses of the Earth God clan's strange beasts and the remains of the statue creatures. Even the entire magnificent palace was in ruins. In other words, the Grand Palace was dead silent. This caused Long Yu to be quite disappointed, because if one or two statues were left behind, then a 7-star monarch would be able to deal with a battle emperor as easily as cutting vegetables. But now, all the statues were destroyed. Perhaps they were destroyed by the beast that entered the ruler's secret realm. Long Yu could only set up a trap to lure the battled arch over and lure the snake out of its hole. Then, he would take the opportunity to use the 5-star monarch realm puppets to deal with the battled arch. The most important part of this plan was to lure the battle emperor over. As for Su Chun, Zhu Tian, Tan Xiuya, and the others, Long Yu trusted them quite a bit. After all, they were all victims of this incident, and he believed that even the battled arch would not know what had happened here. The battle emperor has just ascended to the position of the 5 emperors. Other than solidifying his position, he wants to increase his own strength, Zhu Tian said in a low voice. From this point, we can set a trap. We can send someone back to pass a message to the battle emperor that there are many special secrets in this ruined palace. I believe the battle emperor will be interested. The problem is, who should we send back to lure the battle emperor out? Su Chen shook his head and said, "We've just communicated. All of us were once recruited by the battled arch, but we ultimately rejected him. That's why we were sent here and fell into this trap. The battled arch won't trust any of us. Also, Long Yu, are you sure the trap you set will be able to kill the battle emperor?" Tan Xiuya looked at Long Yu and asked, "If the battle emperor comes, he won't come alone. He'll bring others with him. They'll definitely outnumber us, and they'll be stronger. If the statues in the palace still exist, there won't be a problem, but now, don't worry. No matter how many people he brings, he'll die." However, Long Yu laughed, "I can set up a mechanism inside the palace. As long as he comes, he will definitely die. The only thing we need to think about is how to lure him here." As for why they had to lure the battle emperor into the majestic palace, that was a simple question. Because everyone here was an expert that had stepped into the emperor realm and comprehended the ability of deduction. All of them had tried to deduce the Grand Palace, but they noticed that they were unable to deduce anything within that underground space at all. The 5 emperors was a position established by the outer heavens. If they wanted to kill the battle emperor without anyone knowing, they had to do it in a place where they couldn't deduce anything. Otherwise, even if they managed to kill the battle emperor, they wouldn't have a good ending. "I'll lure him out." Very quickly, the strongest person in the group, 2-star Emperor Zhu Tian, stood up and said, "For the past 100 years, I've given my all for the alliance of 5 emperors and destroyed countless beast lairs. I didn't expect the new battle emperor to be so despicable. Everyone has always thought that I'm honest and loyal, but they don't know that I just haven't met a time where I need to be cunning." A murderous intent flashed across Zhu Tian's eyes. "Since the battle emperor is heartless, there's no need for me to be righteous. If he wants to kill me, I'll kill him." These words echoed the thoughts of everyone present, causing them to nod their heads. Everyone knew that Zhu Tian had always been a fair and impartial person. He had never lied to anyone. If a man like Zhu Tian went back to deceive the battle emperor and lure him out, the result would definitely be excellent. Everyone present didn't feel that there was anything wrong with the plan. After all, the battle emperor wanted to kill them so badly. Why couldn't they retaliate? The battle emperor's actions were undoubtedly against the 5 emperors' principles. Even if the plan was exposed, they wouldn't die. They believed that the sage emperor, the demon emperor, lay emperor, and the flame emperor wouldn't have any objections. After all, the sage emperor, the demon emperor, lay emperor, and the flame emperor wouldn't have any objections. Of course, if they went to complain to the sage emperor or the demon emperor now, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Therefore, everyone chose to listen to Long Yu and was prepared to resolve this matter themselves. Zhu Tian made some preparations and returned to the nearest alliance of 5 emperors teleportation formation with the help of Long Yu. Then he activated the teleportation formation and teleported back to the sacred tower in the holy city of the 5 emperors. Chapter 972. In the mysterious underground space, Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the rest were all hiding somewhere in the underground space. They concealed their auras and quietly waited for what was about to happen. Long Yu, on the other hand, stepped into the majestic palace again to make his preparations. He didn't intend to activate the first divine division puppets in front of everyone. Therefore, the others could wait outside for now, including Zhu Tian. When he returned, he would report that he was the only one who survived. Then, it would be more convenient for him to act. As for the excuse that Zhu Tian had used to attract the Battled Arch, Jiang Yi could easily think of it. The Battled Arch was very interested in ancient relics. Now that he heard that an ancient relic had attracted countless 7-star, the Arch Monarch Earth God race mutated beasts, he would naturally be very interested. The battle between the Earth God tribe beasts and the statue creatures resulted in mutual destruction. This was undoubtedly a great opportunity for the Battled Arch. As for why Zhu Tian reported this opportunity to the Battled Arch, Zhu Tian couldn't explore the entire ancient relic alone. Therefore, he needed more reinforcements. The Battled Arch definitely wouldn't tell the other 4 emperors about such a great opportunity. Instead, he would bring his men and enter the underground space. Then, Long Yu would have a chance to deal with the Battled Arch. Of course, since the Battled Arch was a crafty person, he definitely wouldn't bring his men without any preparation. However, Long Yu had 2 first divine division puppets with him. They were both 5-star emperor level. No matter how prepared the Battled Arch was, he wouldn't be able to leave this majestic palace alive. Long Yu waited in the back hall of the majestic palace. While he was waiting, he sensed that there were a few violent collisions in the realm of 9 serenities. They were definitely experts from the ruler's secret realm. The Earth God tribe beasts definitely wouldn't give up. Although they couldn't sense the aura of the holy relic that Consort Yu had concealed, they were certain that the holy relic was in the realm of 9 serenities. Naturally, they would continue to send experts over. As the territory of a human race, the realm of the 9 serenities wouldn't allow these strange beasts to do as they pleased. At first, Consort Yu was the first to arrive. But soon after, countless experts of the secret realm of the Lushan clan arrived at the realm of the 9 serenities. On the one hand, they wanted to stop Consort Yu, and on the other hand, they wanted to fend off the strange beasts of the Earth God clan that had come to the realm of the 9 serenities through special means. With the help of the 9 Nethermark, Long Yu could vaguely sense the energy erupting from a battle at the level of the sovereign secret realm. It was clear that the 9 Netherworld wasn't peaceful at this moment, and danger was lurking everywhere. Of course, Long Yu didn't care about it. His current stance was naturally on the side of the Juyo clan. Whether it was the Lushan clan or the exotic beasts of the Earth God clan, they were all enemies to Long Yu. Although he didn't have much conflict with the Lushan clan, and he was even on good terms with the Heavenly First Division's Heavenly Twin Cranes, when Long Yu fully grasped the 9 Nethermark and occupied the realm of the 9 serenities, the Lushan clan would definitely have a very serious conflict with him. Therefore, both sides would become enemies sooner or later. Symbol clan, Elder Morone, as long as I find an opportunity, I will definitely avenge you. Long Yu thought to himself. Murong Xiuzhen hadn't appeared since the incident at the 9 Serenities Black Palace. Obviously, he was found by the Symbol clan with the help of the Purple Fan's curse and was killed. Long Yu didn't have the strength at the moment. Once he had enough strength, he would definitely go to the Symbol clan and try his luck. And the Symbol clan was one of the core clans of the Lushan clan. As Long Yu waited, he continuously sensed the aura of the 9 Nethermark in his Dantian. If he wanted to completely grasp the 9 Nethermark, apart from relying on time, he could only find more whirlpools like the one before and absorb them. 3 days later, Zhu Tian's news arrived. With Zhu Tian's report, the Battle Emperor finally made sufficient preparations and led over 100 people to support the vanguard. The so-called vanguard was the 50 people led by Zhu Tian, Su Chun, and Tan Xiuya. At this moment, the news from the holy city of the five emperors was that the vanguard was almost completely annihilated. Only Zhu Tian had returned alive. The Battle Emperor, under the name of Support, personally led his people to this endless desert that was originally occupied by the Earth God tribe's strange beasts. He followed Zhu Tian all the way to the underground space. When they arrived at the underground space, the Battle Emperor and the 100 people behind him all gasped in shock. Obviously, the majestic palace in the underground space had shocked them. However, at this moment, the entire majestic palace had become dilapidated. Just like what Zhu Tian had reported, the Earth God tribe's strange beasts had invaded this place, but had been stopped by the statues here. After a huge battle, both parties had perished together and only ruins were left. Were there any treasures in the ruins? The Battle Emperor and the 100 people behind him were all extremely excited. Under the Battle Emperor's lead, the group of people led Zhu Tian towards the majestic palace. No one expected that all of this was actually an ambush set up by Long Yu and the others. The Battle Emperor definitely didn't expect this. No matter who came across such an ancient ruin, they would have the thought of exploring it. Moreover, Zhu Tian was with them. If Zhu Tian had lied and wanted to return the favor to them, Zhu Tian couldn't possibly have harmed himself, right? No one expected that Zhu Tian and the others would actually set up a trap here and ambush the Battle Emperor. Everything progressed very smoothly. Very quickly, the Battle Emperor brought everyone to the central palace. At this moment, the central palace was littered with the corpses of hundreds of 7-star Emperor-level Earth God tribe beasts, as well as the remains of many statue creatures. Seeing all of this, the Battle Emperor and the others were once again astonished. Everything that Zhu Tian had said was true. In this majestic palace, the Earth God tribe beasts and the guardian statues fought and perished together, leaving behind hundreds of corpses. I hope that there are some treasures in the depths of the palace that have not been taken by others. The Battle Emperor squinted his eyes as he spoke. This elder had been busy his entire life. Now, he had finally replaced the Red Emperor and become one of the 5 emperors. This was the most glorious moment of his life. However, he wasn't satisfied just because of this. This was because after becoming one of the 5 emperors, he met a representative from beyond the heavens, the Lushan clan. That was a powerful expert from the ruler's mystic realm. From this, the Battle Emperor understood many things that he didn't know in the past. He also knew that the alliance of 5 emperors was actually just a tool used by the forces from beyond the heavens. This made the Battle Emperor even more ambitious. He wanted to surpass the ruler's mystic realm and enter the ruler's mystic realm. Even if he was at the emperor's level, he still belonged to the ruler's mystic realm. Only by entering the ruler's mystic realm would he be able to create a small world in his body and become a true overlord. He would be able to live freely in the great beyond heavens. Because of this, the Battle Emperor was extremely concerned about the appearance of this ancient relic. He didn't expect that his plan to kill Zhu Tian, Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the others who didn't cooperate with him would bring him such benefits. It was truly a coincidence. Furthermore, if it wasn't for the fact that everyone who followed Zhu Tian had died, Zhu Tian definitely wouldn't have brought this news back to the holy city of the 5 emperors. He would have gone to explore this grand palace himself. The Battle Emperor considered all the possible dangers in his mind. Then, he carefully led the group forward. Soon, they passed the central palace and saw the scene in the rear palace from afar. At this moment, the rear palace had already been turned into a trap by Long Yu, waiting for the Battle Emperor's arrival. Therefore, in the center of the rear palace, there were countless powerful combat weapons, pills, and jade scrolls. At this moment, they emitted an extremely alluring aura as they appeared in front of the Battle Emperor and the others. These were just appetizers. The real temptation was yet to come. Even so, many people behind the Battle Emperor couldn't hold back anymore. They saw that there were combat weapons that surpassed the ancient era in the palace in front of them. Under normal circumstances, the strongest combat weapons that appeared in the divine battle world would definitely be the ancient era. But now, there were many immemorial combat weapons in front of them. How tempting was this? An immemorial combat weapon represented the birth of a peerless expert. As long as they had an immemorial combat weapon, their status would instantly increase by several levels. It wouldn't be a big deal for their authority in the alliance of 5 emperors to increase by several times. Be careful, there's danger. I was hiding in the palace just now. I've never been so deep into the palace before. Zhu Tian said to the battled arch and the others in a low voice. Of course, they had to go all the way. Beside the battle emperor, there was a 2-star emperor middle-aged man. This man had a large build and a slightly evil look in his eyes. When he heard Zhu Tian's words, he smiled. Big brother Zhu Tian, don't worry. This place has already been destroyed so thoroughly. Furthermore, we've already searched the entire palace. There isn't a single living creature in it. We shouldn't encounter any danger. This man was Zhu Tian's good friend. His nickname was Wild Dog. In the past, he had worked together with Zhu Tian to destroy many exotic beast lairs. He was extremely crazy when fighting against exotic beasts. It was this person. His detection techniques were top-notch, and he was the one who had said that there weren't any powerful Earth God race beasts nearby. It was this person. It was because of this Wild Dog's guarantee that Zhu Tian would lead everyone into the Battle Thearchus trap. Zhu Tian already knew that Wild Dog had definitely become the Battle Emperor's dog. However, he did not fly into a rage when he returned because he wanted to catch all of them in one fell swoop. Wild Dog, there's nothing wrong with being a little more careful. Let's send someone to scout the path first. Zhu Tian shook his head and insisted on being careful. Caution was the most important thing when exploring ancient era ruins. No one could deny this. When Zhu Tian said this, the Battle Emperor found it even more difficult to believe that this was a trap set up by Zhu Tian and the others. How about this? Whoever goes to the palace in front of us to check if there's any danger will be the first to enter. I'll allow him to pick 3 battle weapons at will. The moment the battled arch said this, the people around him started to get restless. 3 Archean combat weapons. Chapter 973. When the battled arch said this, the people around him started to get excited. It was rare to see an Archean soldier on a normal day. For many people, it was their first time seeing one. Now, as long as they enter the hall first, they would be able to get their hands on 3 Archean soldiers. To everyone, this was a great temptation. No matter how great the danger was, they would not give up. They would definitely give it a try. 3 Peak Emperor Realm martial cultivators immediately sprinted towards the hall in front of them, as if they were in a race to leave the others behind. Soon, the 3 of them entered the hall and realized that there was no danger, causing them to be overjoyed. Damn it, you took advantage of me. I can't tell normally, but I didn't expect you to run so fast. 2 of them were cursing and swearing. It was obvious that they were very unhappy with the other person. As for the other person, his face was filled with joy because he was the first to rush into the palace. According to the Battle Monarch's words, he could choose 3 Archean combat weapons. However, since there was no danger in the hall, they were relieved. The Battle Emperor and the others also stopped hesitating. Let's go, follow me. Under the leadership of the Battled Arch, a group of more than 100 people stepped into this palace hall that was filled with all sorts of treasures. To them, this was like heaven. They could simply bend down and pick up a supreme treasure that would be priceless in the outside world. Everyone was overjoyed, including Zhu Tian. How could Zhu Tian not be happy when he saw the Battle Emperor and the others walking into a trap? Battle Emperor, I want to see how you are going to escape today. As Zhu Tian thought to himself, he silently retreated from this place without the Battle of the Arch noticing. The Battle Emperor, who was in a state of ecstasy, did not notice Zhu Tian's departure. He scanned the entire hall and realized that it was heavily damaged. All kinds of treasures were scattered all over the place, and there were many remains of statues. It seemed like a huge battle had taken place here. Earth God Tribe, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you beasts, I, the Battle Emperor, would not have been able to defeat the guardian statues and obtain the treasures, even if I found the ancient ruins. The battle Thearch's lips curled up as he thought to himself. However, in the next moment, the faces of the Battle Thearch and the people beside him suddenly changed. This was because they realized that the path they had come from had been blocked. A few large rocks seemed to have descended from the sky, completely destroying the tunnel that they had come from. Thus, they were unable to escape from this palace hall. These large rocks were the remains of the entire Grand Palace Hall. They were extremely sturdy, and even a battle emperor would not be able to destroy them. Not to mention the battle emperors. Even the earth god beasts and statues at the level of the 7-star emperor couldn't break through the walls of the magnificent palace. The reason why this majestic palace was destroyed was because of the arrival of the ruler's secret realm level beast. Now that the ruler's secret realm level beast was gone, the battle emperor and the others were trapped in this palace. There was no way for them to escape. In this majestic palace, the spatial divine characters were sealed and restricted. No one could use them. Hence, if they couldn't blast apart the huge rocks blocking their way, the Battle Thearch and the others would be completely trapped here. A turtle in a jar. Long Yu used balance control and hid in this palace hall without being discovered by anyone. No one knew that Long Yu was hiding in this palace hall. Even the Battle Thearch couldn't discover Long Yu's tracks. Now that Long Yu had comprehended the 6th level of balance control, even a 5-star emperor might not be able to discover Long Yu, let alone a 3-star emperor level Battle Thearch. As for the huge rocks blocking the way, they were traps that Long Yu had prepared beforehand. With just a thought, he could trap the Battle Thearch and the others in this palace hall. Next, it was time to kill the Battle Thearch. Of course, Long Yu still wouldn't appear. He was very cautious. Even if the other party was going to die, he still wouldn't show himself and let the other party know the truth. Long Yu's goal was to kill the Battle Thearch, not to act tough in front of him. Anyway, he didn't have to do anything in the process of killing the Battle Thearch. All he had to do was watch the show from the side. Just as the Battle Thearch and the others realized that they were trapped in this palace hall, a small puppet suddenly stood up in a corner of the palace hall. That puppet was dressed in white and was a young woman. She was the beautiful girl from the Heavenly First Crane duo, He Shui. As the small puppet was activated by Long Yu, the young woman's puppet gradually grew larger, and soon it was the size of an ordinary person. This phenomenon immediately attracted the attention of the Battle Thearch and the others. They didn't know what this puppet was, but at this moment, they felt a deep sense of strangeness. First, the entire palace hall was blocked. No matter what they did, they couldn't break it open. Then, a young lady puppet appeared in the palace hall. No matter what, it was very strange. Everyone present was an existence that had stepped into the Emperor realm. At this moment, they all began to activate their power of deduction, wanting to see if there was any relationship between the puppet and the hall that had appeared before them. However, they soon realized that their deduction abilities couldn't be used in this place. Their deduction abilities were the same as the spatial god text. They were all sealed in the palace hall. This discovery made the Battle Thearch and the others' faces turn ashen. They started to wonder if they had fallen into a trap. Sir Battle Thearch, Zhu Tian has disappeared. Suddenly, the 2-star Emperor Cultivator, Wild Dog, who had been standing beside the Battle Thearch, said in a gloomy voice. He didn't pay much attention at first. However, as the palace hall was blocked and the puppet appeared, he realized that they might have been lured into a trap. Therefore, he immediately started to look for Zhu Tian. However, he realized that Zhu Tian didn't follow them to this palace hall. It was obvious that they had been tricked by Zhu Tian. At this moment, the Battle Thearch and the others didn't have much time to think. The young lady puppet that had suddenly appeared had already attacked the person closest to it. Her first attack was like a thunderbolt. The strength of a 5-star emperor was completely displayed at this moment. With just one attack and a flash of white light, A one-star emperor from the alliance of 5 emperors was completely defeated by the snow crane puppet. His entire body turned into ashes in midair. Before anyone could react, the snow crane puppet attacked again. In an instant, it killed 3 members of the alliance of 5 emperors who were closest to it. Long Yu hid at the side and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This puppet was too terrifying. Although it wasn't as powerful as the Channy twin cranes and the others, it was still a 5-star emperor puppet. It wasn't weak against the Battle the Arch and the others at all. Of course, the Battle the Arch and the others couldn't just sit around and wait for death. At this moment, they could only fight. After all, they had the advantage in numbers. If they joined forces, they might be able to defeat this puppet. Destroy it for me. The Battle the Arch roared angrily. Everyone present reacted and attacked the snow crane puppet. Instantly, the entire palace was filled with extremely strong energy waves. However, all of these attacks were blocked by Shui with a raise of her hand, releasing a translucent light. It was like an impenetrable barrier that blocked all of the attacks. Immediately after, white light flashed and formed countless sword lights. In an instant, more than 10 people were killed. Not only did the snow crane puppet have the cultivation of a 5-star emperor, but it also had all kinds of powerful techniques that the snow crane puppet had. Furthermore, the snow crane puppet was a genius from the heavenly division of the Lushan clan. She definitely had the ability to challenge those who were stronger than her. In other words, the snow crane puppet definitely couldn't be treated as an ordinary 5-star emperor. It was highly possible that the snow crane puppet could stand its ground against an ordinary 7-star emperor. It could even fight to a draw. If that was the case, the Battle the Arch and the others had no chance at all. Long Yu leisurely watched from the side. After activating the snow crane puppet, the Battle the Arch and the others were dead for sure, unless someone from another force from beyond the heavens came to save them. Unfortunately, at this very moment, Long Yu could still sense that a ruler's secret realm-level battle was taking place in a few places in the 9 Netherworld. In other words, the experts from beyond the heavens were currently being held back by the ruler's secret realm experts sent by the Earth God tribe. They couldn't possibly notice what was happening in a corner of the Shunwu world. The Battle the Arch was now in a situation where he would definitely die. In such a situation, the Battle Thearch's fear of death was completely revealed. As he called out to the others to deal with the snow puppet, he continued to retreat towards the back. Very soon, he found the passageway that led from the back of the palace hall to the treasure hall. Although their path of retreat was blocked, the path forward was still there. The Battle the Arch wanted to charge in alone and use the others as stepping stones. However, it was obvious that not everyone would fight the snow crane puppet as he wished. The first to follow the Battle the Arch was the good friend that betrayed Zhu Tian and followed the Battle the Arch, Wild Dog. This skinny middle-aged man followed the Battle the Arch into the path leading to the palace, causing the Battle the Arch to squint his eyes. Battle the Arch, isn't a bad idea to run away by yourself at a time like this? Wild Dog's eyes flashed fiercely as he caught up to the Battle the Arch. Everyone is looking out for themselves. In a situation like this, staying here will only lead to death. If that's the case, why don't we go to other places and see if we can find an opportunity? Since you're here, let's go together. The Battle the Arch said. Very well, Lord Battle the Arch. You go first, I'll cover your back. Wild Dog squinted his eyes and said. Hearing this, the Battle the Arch coldly snorted in his heart. This guy wants me, the Battle the Arch, to be the vanguard and face the unknown dangers ahead? What a great idea. Chapter 974. At this moment, the Battle the Arch was in a dilemma. The snowy puppet was on a killing spree behind him, and there was an unknown danger in front of him. Logically speaking, the Battle the Arch should have brought someone with him to scout the path ahead while he followed behind. But now, the person following the Battle the Arch was Wild Dog. Wild Dog had always been a shrewd person. Although he had sided with the Battle the Arch, it was only for his own benefit. There was no way he would scout the path for the Battle the Arch now. The Battle the Arch didn't think twice as he headed deeper into the tunnel. He thought that if he didn't leave, he would die. If he left, he might as well take a gamble. As for Wild Dog, although the Battled Arch hated him to the core, he didn't have the time to deal with him now. The Battled Arch was only thinking of escaping this godforsaken place. Space Divine Text, Seal. Deduction Power, Seal. Right now, the Battled Arch had no other choice but to continue walking in and try his luck. But very quickly, the Battled Arch realized that as he walked deeper into the tunnel, he came to a dead end. This tunnel had completely collapsed and blocked his way. The Battle Thearch's face darkened. Even Wild Dog, who was not far behind the Battled Arch, had an ashen face. They didn't expect that this tunnel was a dead end. If they had known, they would have stayed behind with the rest and tried to deal with the female puppet. What if they could defeat it with their combined strength? But now, it was too late for them to turn back. In a short period of time, as long you leisurely watched the show, close to 100 members of the Alliance of Five Emperors were all killed by the snowy puppet. Long Yu naturally didn't have a good impression of these people. One had to know that they were the Battle Thearch's lackeys. They were all led by the Battled Arch to seek benefits. The Battle Thearch's men were Long Yu's enemies. The snowy puppet killed in all directions. Her attacks were extremely vicious and merciless. This was because the puppet could only be activated for 1 hour. After 1 hour, the puppet would be useless. Therefore, within half an hour, Long Yu had to kill everyone present. Otherwise, if any one of them was left alive, it would be a great hidden danger for Long Yu. In the beginning, the Battle Thearch's subordinates still wanted to risk their lives to deal with the snowy puppet. However, with the Battle Thearch's escape and the puppet's unparalleled combat power, the remaining people's fighting spirit quickly diminished and they started to flee in all directions. However, how could their speed compare to the Snow Crane doll? Many people were caught by the snowy puppet, and they knelt down and begged for mercy. After all, they were not on the same level, but the snowy puppet did not have human emotions. Those who begged for mercy died even faster than those who resisted with their lives on the line. As a result, quite a few people chose to self-detonate. Unfortunately, they couldn't harm He Shui in the slightest. Instead, it was Long Yu who was hiding to the side that was affected. Fortunately, Long Yu's physical body was very strong. Even if he was affected by the self-detonation, he didn't suffer any serious injuries. He was also too lazy to move to prevent others from noticing him. In less than an hour, the snowy puppet had killed everyone in the hall. A total of more than 80 people had died in its hands. Immediately after, the puppet chased into the tunnel. Including the Battled Arch, there were more than 20 people who had escaped into the tunnel. However, they didn't know that the tunnel had already been blocked by Long Yu. Escaping into that passageway would only lead to death. Long Yu continued to conceal himself and followed behind the snowy puppet. He stepped into the tunnel and watched as the snowy puppet continuously killed the martial cultivators that had escaped into the tunnel. Whether it was a peak emperor, a 1-star emperor, or a 2-star emperor, none of them were a match for the snowy puppet. They were all killed with a wave of its hand. Long Yu slowly stepped into the tunnel. Along the way, he only saw the corpses of the people from the Alliance of Five Emperors. He burned them to ashes. When he finally reached the end of the blocked passageway, he discovered that the Snow Crane puppet had just killed the skinny man, Wild Dog. Only the Battled Arch was left, and he was constantly bombarding the blocked passageway. However, with his strength, he was unable to break through the materials of this majestic palace. When the snowy puppet killed Wild Dog, the Battled Arch was on the verge of collapse. He turned around and actually knelt down in front of the snowy puppet. The Battled Arch didn't know whether the snowy puppet had consciousness or not. However, he didn't want to die, so he wanted to beg for mercy. Unfortunately, if the Battled Arch saw what happened to the person who begged for mercy in the back palace, he definitely wouldn't kneel down and beg for mercy. He would fight even if he had to die. However, as the Battled Arch knelt down, the snowy puppet expressionlessly slashed out with a white blade light. It looked like it was about to kill the Battled Arch. Right at this moment, the Battle Thearch's body suddenly flashed, and dozens of Battled Arch clones appeared. These Battled Arch clones didn't have any hesitation. Some of them tried to restrain Shui, while others tried to break through the snow crane puppet and escape towards the tunnel. Needless to say, this move was out of Long Yu's expectations. If the battled arch could rely on this method to stall for time, it would really make things difficult for Long Yu. After all, the snowy puppet could only last for an hour. If it exceeded that time, the snowy puppet would lose all its power and become an ordinary puppet. At that time, if the battled arch wasn't killed, Long Yu only had one choice left, and that was to use the snowy puppet again to kill the battled arch. However, that would be too much of a waste. Although Long Yu had already trapped the battled arch in the ruins, as long as he didn't die, he would eventually have a chance to escape. However, Long Yu wouldn't allow the battled arch to have any chance to live. Therefore, Long Yu had to see the battled arch being killed with his own eyes. Just being trapped here wouldn't help. Who knew? Maybe the ruler mystic realm experts from the Lushan clan would come to rescue him. Since he had already made his move, he couldn't show any mercy. The poor battled arch had a good idea. He wanted to rely on his clones to try and stall for time. However, the snowy puppet didn't give him any chance. Snow-white blade lights filled the entire space. Whether it was the clones that wanted to attack the snowy puppet or the clones that wanted to escape, none of them were able to escape the attack range of the snowy puppet. The battle Thearka's real body was mixed in with these clones and was killed by the snowy puppet. After a short while, Long Yu felt that the entire space had quietened down. Within the majestic palace, there was no longer any sign of life. The battled arch had been completely annihilated from this world after that attack. Long Yu let out a sigh of relief. He raised his hand and controlled the snowy puppet to turn back into a puppet. Half an hour hadn't passed. The snowy puppet could be activated again, but it wouldn't last for the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. Of course, a 5-star emperor that lasted for the time it takes for an incense to burn was extremely terrifying in the Shenwu world. No matter who it was, the snowy puppet was able to defeat them in that amount of time, even if it was a battled arch or a saint emperor. Therefore, it was necessary to take back the snowy puppet. Immediately after, Long Yu put away all the weapons and pills that he had used to lure the battled arch and the others back into his bag. As for the things that the battled arch and the others had on them, Long Yu didn't touch any of them. This was because the deduction ability of an emperor was extremely terrifying. Even if Long Yu took these things, he couldn't use them. Otherwise, it would be easy for others to deduce some clues about what had happened here. That wouldn't be worth it. After all, the battled arch and the others didn't have many valuable things on them. There was no need for Long Yu to risk his life for such trash. I've finally gotten rid of him. Long Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then, he activated the 9 nether mark and formed a spatial passageway. He teleported himself outside the sealed passageway of the palace and saw Zhu Tian, who was waiting at the entrance. When Zhu Tian saw Long Yu, his eyes instantly lit up. "Little brother Long Yu, how's the situation?" "They've all been dealt with." Long Yu chuckled, and then he said, "It'll be up to everyone now. Let's go back to the Alliance of 5 Emperors and explain what happened here. Of course, apart from you, none of us know about the battled arch. We were trapped here and finally found a chance to escape. As for the aftermath of killing the battled arch, Long Yu, Zhu Tian, and the others had already thought about it. In any case, the entire Grand Palace had been sealed. The battled arch and the others had died in the depths of the palace. Even if the Alliance of 5 Emperors sent people over, they wouldn't be able to find out that the battled arch had died, unless someone from beyond the heavens sent a ruler's secret realm expert to investigate. Even if that was the case, it was impossible for anyone to suspect Long Yu and the others. The battled arch had over 100 elites from the Alliance of 5 Emperors, just relying on Long Yu and Zhu Tian. How could they kill so many experts? The final conclusion was that the battled arch and the others had entered the ruins and were trapped inside. They had died in the ruins' traps. Under the situation where the power of deduction was ineffective, no one would be able to find the real culprit. Even if there was an extremely strong expert that was able to deduce some clues, they would only be able to deduce the level of the He Shui doll. It was impossible for them to deduce Long Yu's identity. The matter of the Earth God tribe beasts finally came to an end with the death of the battled arch. Even Su Chun, Tan Xiuya, and the others didn't know that the battled arch had died. They only knew that the battled arch had been trapped by Long Yu in the Grand Palace in the underground space. Soon, everyone returned to the alliance of 5 emperors. With Zhu Tian as the leader, he reported the situation here. The battled arch had disappeared, and over 100 members of the alliance of 5 emperors were trapped in the ancient ruins. This matter shocked the other 4 emperors. The next day, the Sage Emperor, the Demon Emperor, the Lay Emperor, and the Flame Emperor gathered and prepared to head to the underground space to investigate. Their investigation was destined to be fruitless. As for Long Yu, he didn't participate in this matter. As the victims of this matter, Long Yu, Zhu Tian, Su Chun, and the others didn't receive any punishment. No one would have thought that the battle Thearka's disappearance was related to Long Yu and the others. Chapter 975. Long Yu's figure appeared in the sky above the Northern Snow Empire's imperial capital. Along with him were 2 enormous palaces, the Azura Ancient Palace and the Death Ancient Palace. Shi Yingwu had been waiting for Long Yu in the Death Ancient Palace. When Long Yu returned after dealing with the Battle Emperor, she returned to the Northern Snow Empire with Long Yu. Shi Yongwu's slender figure floated out of the Death Ancient Palace. She glanced at Long Yu and said, "Brother Long, there are 5 days left before the exploration of the Divine Martial Realm Core. Will we be able to settle things here in 5 days? The Battle Emperor is dead. 5 days should be enough. Let's go to the Divine Martial Realm Core after we're done here." Long Yu nodded and then squinted his eyes. Even though he had just returned to the Northern Snow Empire, he could feel an extremely oppressive aura permeating the entire Northern Snow Empire. Logically speaking, when the North Snow Empire had just been promoted to the North Snow Empire, it should be a joyous occasion. However, in reality, due to the obstruction of the 3 surrounding empires, the development of the entire North Snow Empire was not very smooth. It even encountered many obstacles. All of this was because of the Battle Emperor. Now that the Battle Emperor had been killed by Long Yu, things would be much simpler. Long Yu did not even need to do anything himself, because in the Northern Snow Empire, Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and the other former direct disciples of the Red Emperor were all cultivating in seclusion. If they knew that the Battle Emperor was dead, they would destroy the 3 surrounding empires at any time. Let's go back and meet them first. Long Yu called out to Shi Yingwu, and then led Shi Yingwu to land in the Northern Snow Empire. Of course, this city had been renamed as the Northern Snow Empire. The Azura Ancient Palace and the Death Ancient Palace were powerful ancient weapons that came from the Azura Envoy and the Death Envoy. Moreover, they were giant special weapons that possessed extremely powerful abilities. After the Death Messenger died, he left the Death Ancient Palace to Shi Yingwu and let her manage it. Now that Long Yu no longer had any need for the Azura Ancient Palace, he decided to hand the Azura Source Stone and Azura Ancient Palace over to Shu Chan. Soon, Long Yu and Shi Yingwu came to the sky above the North Snow Imperial Capital. Both of them hid their bodies and saw a large group of people gathered on a street in the North Snow Imperial Capital. They were all talking and pointing at each other. Long Yu only had to use balance control to take a look to know what was going on. It turned out that some Emperor Realm experts from the Shenluo Empire had come to the North Snow Imperial Capital to bully the people of the Northern Snow Empire. And the person being bullied was Long Yu's friend, Duke Ruoxue. At this moment, Duke Ruoxue seemed to be strolling around the North Snow Imperial Capital with her nephew, Sikongi. They were probably looking to buy some cultivation resources. Unfortunately, the beautiful and charming Duke Ruoxue had caught the eye of an Emperor Realm expert from the Shenluo Empire. He wanted to forcefully take her away. After all, this was the imperial capital of the Northern Snow Empire. How could the people of the Shenluo Empire be allowed to behave atrociously here? Immediately, the city guard arrived under the command of an Emperor Realm expert. However, even though there were dozens of city guards, they could not deal with the Emperor Realm expert from the Shenluo Empire. The situation was in a stalemate for a moment. All of you, get out of my way. It is your honor that I have taken a liking to a woman like you. Why don't you go back with me and have some fun? The middle-aged Emperor Realm expert from the Shenluo Empire chuckled. He looked at Duke Ruoxue with an extremely vulgar gaze, causing her to tremble in anger. Don't be so arrogant. The Emperor Realm City Guard captain's face darkened. This is the Northern Snow Empire. Do you really think that you are invincible in the Emperor Realm? If our Emperor Realm expert were to make a move, you will die without a doubt. Why don't you get out of my way? You wanted to get out? The middle-aged Emperor Realm expert snorted angrily. He raised his hand and instantly pulled the Emperor Realm City Guard captain over. He grabbed him and gathered green divine characters in his hand. It seemed like he wanted to kill the Emperor Realm expert on the spot. It was also at this moment that a cold sword light floated over from afar. Its speed was unimaginably fast. In the blink of an eye, the chilling sword light sliced through the air and sliced off the arm of the troublemaker. Fresh blood sprayed out from the wound. The Emperor Realm City Guard captain fell to the ground. His face was deathly pale. He really did feel that death was just a hair's breadth away from him. If it wasn't for the expert who cut off the Emperor Realm expert's arm, he would have been dead by now. Even now, the Emperor Realm expert's arm was still around his neck. However, the arm had lost its strength. The Emperor Realm expert let out a blood-curdling scream. Who is it? Get the hell out here. Who dares ambush me in the dark? The Emperor Realm expert from the Shenluo Empire had a fierce look on his face. He looked around and quickly found the person he was looking for. It was a woman with an elegant figure and a cold temperament. She was walking over from the direction of the Imperial Palace. It was Yu Hanxin. Yu Hanxin had already stepped into the early Emperor Realm. However, she only needed one move to cut off the late Emperor Realm expert's arm. It was obvious how strong Yu Hanxin had become. So it's you. Ha ha, Yu Hanxin, you've finally come out. The Shenluo Empire expert wasn't afraid when he saw Yu Hanxin. Instead, he laughed heartily. He didn't even care about his arm that had been cut off by the cold sword light. Right at this moment, a few powerful auras appeared in the surroundings and arrived in the blink of an eye. It was actually 4 peak Emperor Realm experts who had surrounded Yu Hanxin. How dare you, Yu Hanxin? The envoy of the Shenluo Empire has come to visit the Northern Snow Empire with goodwill. Is the Northern Snow Empire's hospitality to cut off a guest's arm? You're bullying the Shenluo Empire. Since that's the case, Yu Hanxin, come with us. You must give us an explanation for cutting off the arm of our envoy. The 4 peak Emperor experts spoke one after another, directly stating the purpose of their visit. In an instant, everyone understood what was going on. The late Emperor Realm middle-aged man had teased Duke Ruoxue, summoned the captain of the city guards, and tried to kill him. It was all to lure Yu Hanxin out. Furthermore, these people wanted to take Yu Hanxin away. It was obvious that once Yu Hanxin was taken away, Yu Hanxin would have no chance of survival. The newly established Northern Snow Empire would also collapse. Shameless. Yu Hanxin didn't waste time with them. In the past few days, she had already experienced the shamelessness of the Shenluo Empire. In fact, she had seen people even more shameless than this. Therefore, there was no point in wasting time with words. The only way was to defeat these people and let them know that she wasn't someone to be trifled with. Yu Hanxin didn't waste time with words. In front of the countless eyes of the people below, she instantly turned into a giant ice bird. Her entire body was filled with chilling cold energy. In an instant, 4 ice storms swept towards the 4 peak Emperor experts that surrounded her. Even though Yu Hanxin was only an early-stage emperor, she wasn't afraid of the 4 peak Emperor experts. However, these 4 peak Emperor experts had come prepared. Naturally, they wouldn't be defeated by Yu Hanxin so easily. Heavenly Capture Formation. The divine runes on the 4 people's bodies surged. In an instant, countless giant claws appeared on the battlefield and grabbed at Yu Hanxin's ice bird body. Yuhanshin's ice storm whirlpool was actually unable to repel these giant claws. The heavenly capture formation was actually a formation technique. With the four of them working together, it was possible to capture a one-star emperor, let alone Yuhanshin. Yuhanshin's face flickered. She circulated a frosty aura all over her body and instantly turned into an ice crystal longsword, spinning around her. One after another, ice sword light swept out and blasted away the incoming giant claws. However, with the four peak emperor experts working together, these claws seemed to be endless. They rushed towards Yuhanshin at breakneck speed. Yuhanshin used all her strength but still couldn't defend against the heavenly capture formation. She knew that the heavenly capture formation was a powerful formation technique from the alliance of five emperors. However, she didn't know that the Shinluo Empire had also learned the heavenly capture formation. Looks like it's the battle emperors doing again. Yuhanshin's face was cold. She immediately guessed the truth. In the face of the heavenly capture formation set up by four peak emperor experts, with her current strength, it was indeed not enough for her to defend against it. However, the heavenly mandate manor should have received the news that a battle of this level had occurred here, right? Yuhanshin thought to herself. At the heavenly mandate manor, Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and other personal disciples of the Red Emperor were cultivating in seclusion. If there was a battle, they would definitely rush over immediately. However, Yuhanshin didn't have much confidence now. This was because since the Shinluo Empire had come up with this plan to lure her out and capture her, they must have made a foolproof plan. Perhaps the heavenly mandate manor was already surrounded by the people of the Shinluo Empire. Now, the Shinluo Empire had the subordinates of the battle emperor in charge. Moreover, they had brought along many experts from the alliance of five emperors. It was completely possible for them to hold back Xing Fa and the others. Yuhanshin's face grew darker and darker. Was she going to die in the hands of the Shinluo Empire today? However, just as she was feeling discouraged, a familiar figure appeared in front of her. It was Shi Yingwu. Senior Yu, don't worry. Brother Long and I are here. Shi Yingwu smiled slightly. Then, she raised her hand, and endless divine characters of death condensed in her hand. As soon as she said this, Yuhanshin's face instantly revealed a look of surprise. Long Yu was actually still alive. She had previously heard that Long Yu was not dead, and had returned with Lei Emperor and the others. Moreover, he had won 4 consecutive battles of life and death. However, after that, the battle emperor seemed to have planned to send Long Yu on a mission that would definitely kill him. She didn't expect that Long Yu would actually return with Shi Yingwu. However, seeing that Shi Yingwu was about to attack, Yuhanshin couldn't help but worry again. It should be known that Shi Yingwu had just entered the Emperor realm. How could she deal with the cultivators at the pinnacle of the Emperor realm who were surrounding her with her cultivation? Chapter 976. As the divine rune of death formed in Shi Yongwu's hand, another 7 figures appeared from the side with the power of the divine rune of death in their hands as well. The 8 of them worked together to form a formation. Although this formation was cast by 8 Emperor Realm cultivators, its power was extremely terrifying. One of the peak Emperor Realm cultivators from the Shinluo Empire was immediately sealed off. Deadman Binding Formation. Shi Yongwu's eyes flashed with the light of death. Together with the 7 people she brought out from the ancient palace of death, she finally displayed this terrifying technique in front of the world. Under normal circumstances, an Emperor Realm cultivator would have no chance against a peak Emperor Realm cultivator. Even an early-stage Emperor Realm cultivator like Long Yu would not be a match for a peak Emperor Realm cultivator. But now, the Deadman Binding Formation, led by Shi Yingwu, actually managed to trap one of the peak Emperor Realm cultivators. At this moment, the 4 peak Emperor Realm cultivators from the Shinluo Empire were casting the Heavenly Capture Formation together in an attempt to capture Yuhanshin. Now that one of them was missing, the entire Heavenly Capture Formation crumbled. Yuhanshin instantly switched from being passive to being on the offensive. Her ice bird body erupted with cold air and enveloped the entire North Snow Empire in a world of ice and snow. Scram! Yuhanshin's eyes flashed fiercely as the cold air around her body formed a boundless ice prison that completely sealed the remaining 3 Peak Emperor Realm cultivators. If it wasn't for the Heavenly Capture Formation, her strength would not be any weaker than the 4 Peak Emperor Realm cultivators. Now that the Heavenly Capture Formation was broken by Shi Yingwu, Yuhanshin was able to completely suppress the remaining 3. Senior Yu, why are you showing mercy? Shi Yingwu saw that Yuhanshin was holding back and couldn't help but say, evildoers like them should be killed immediately. These 4 are from the Alliance of 5 Emperors. They're the battle monarch's pawns in the Shunluo Empire. If we kill them, I'm afraid. Yuhanshin frowned and hesitated. Don't worry, Senior Yu. The Battle Emperor has already died at the hands of Big Brother Dragon. So, you know what to do, right? Sunset Dance had used a voice transmission technique to transmit her words directly into Yuhanshin's ears. No one else had heard her words. After all, the Alliance of 5 Emperors still didn't know whether the Battle Emperor was dead or alive. Since she was so certain that the Battle Emperor was dead, she obviously couldn't let anyone else know. When Yuhanshin heard this, she was stunned once again. The Battle Arch had died at the hands of Long Yu? How is this possible? Yuhanshin found it hard to imagine that Long Yu's strength had already reached such a level. One had to know that the Battle Arch was a powerful existence that had defeated the Red Emperor. But now, the Battle Arch had actually been killed by Long Yu? However, Yuhanshin trusted Shi Yingwu completely. She didn't have any doubts and didn't make any noise. Indeed, since the Battle Arch was dead, there was no need for her to hold back. These 4 Peak Emperors, even if they were from the Alliance of 5 Emperors, were merely the claws and teeth of the Battle Arch. The Battle Arch was dead. If these 4 died, no one would seek justice for them. Furthermore, these 4 didn't die unjustly. In the rules of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, there was a very important rule. No member of the Alliance of 5 Emperors was allowed to interfere with the development of other empires and sections. If the Battle Arch was here, Yuhanshin wouldn't be able to defeat him. It was normal that she didn't dare to kill him. But now that the Battle Arch was gone, what was there for Yuhanshin to be afraid of? I see peak kill. Yuhanshin raised her hand, and 4 icy peaks appeared above the heads of the 4 Peak Emperors, emitting a chilling, murderous intent. The 4 Peak Emperors all felt the murderous intent from Yuhanshin and jumped in fright. One of them said fiercely, Yuhanshin, think carefully. We are from the Alliance of 5 Emperors. If you kill someone from the Alliance of 5 Emperors, what will happen to you? So what if you are from the Alliance of 5 Emperors? Yuhanshin couldn't be bothered to waste time with them. She said coldly, I remember that the Alliance of 5 Emperors cannot interfere with the matters of the empires and sects. Since you have interfered, be prepared to pay the price with your lives. You dare. Another person panicked. Aren't you afraid that the Battle Arch will punish you? If he wants to come, Yuhanshin, will entertain him any time. Yuhanshin scoffed at this. The Battle Arch was already dead. Would the Battle Arch turn into a ghost to cause trouble for her? In the next moment, 4 icy mountains fell from the sky and instantly killed the 4 Peak Emperor Realm experts. Not even their bones were left, and their souls were scattered into nothingness. This scene made everyone in the North Snow Imperial capital very happy, and they immediately cheered loudly. They should have known that anyone who came to the Northern Snow Empire to cause trouble would not have a good ending. After all, their emperor was Yuhanshin, one of the previous 5 emperors and the direct disciple of the Red Emperor. Although the Red Emperor had been replaced by the Battle Arch, the Northern Snow Empire was not a place that anyone could bully. Unfortunately, no one knew that if Long Yu hadn't asked Shi Yingwu to bring the news of the Battle Thearka's death, Yuhanshin would have held back. But now, Yuhanshin had finally let go. Try to run. The middle-aged late emperor who had been teasing Princess Ruoshui wanted to turn around and run. But how could Yuhanshin give him a chance? A cold sword aura pierced through the air and instantly pierced through the man's chest. Then his entire body was frozen into a block of ice. Then he exploded and evaporated into a puff of water vapor. Similarly, not even his bones were left. All that was left were two spatial weapons that fell to the ground. Many people were fighting over them. In this way, all the people who wanted to cause trouble in the Northern Snow Empire had been eliminated. Yu Hanqin flew up and smiled at Shi Yingwu. "Thank you, Xiao Wu. Oh yes, you said that you came back with Long Yu. Why didn't he show up?" Shi Yingwu pointed in the direction of the Heavenly Mandate Manor. He sensed that something had happened over there. "So, he asked me to help you here and went over first. I'm all right. Since things have been settled here, let's go and take a look." Yu Hanqin's heart was now completely at ease. When she learned that Long Yu had killed the Battled Arch, she felt that there was nothing that Long Yu couldn't handle. So what if there were many people causing trouble? They were just the minions of the Battled Arch. And now, the Battled Arch was dead. What could his minions do? A few hundred miles away from the Northern Snow Empire was the Heavenly Mandate Manor. At this time, the Heavenly Mandate Manor was in an extremely tense atmosphere. It was because a cabinet elder of the Alliance of Five Emperors had arrived. This cabinet elder of the Alliance of Five Emperors was called Hu Pingguin. He was a 2-star emperor-level cultivator. He was previously sent to the Shenluo Empire by the Battled Arch. On the surface, he was helping the Shenluo Empire develop, but he was secretly restraining the momentum of the Northern Snow Empire. In addition to Hu Pingguin, 2 other elders of the Alliance of Five Emperors came with him. They were all 1-star emperor-level cultivators. In addition, there were some emperor-level cultivators from the Shenluo Empire, as well as Hu Pingguin's subordinates from the Alliance of Five Emperors. There were nearly 100 people in total. They directly broke into the Heavenly Mandate Manor. In the Heavenly Mandate Manor, in addition to the people who originally came from the Heavenly Mandate continent, there were also several other personal disciples of the Red Emperor. Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, Yu Xiaoyin, Yu Linfeng, and Nalin Jun. The 5 of them were all in the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Hu Pingguin brought people to the manor. Nalin Jun and Hong Yu appeared first, blocking in front of Hu Pingguin and the others. "Elder Hu, what brings you here all of a sudden?" Nalin Jun, of course, knew Hu Pingguin. After all, there were less than 20 cabinet elders in the entire Alliance of Five Emperors. He had stayed in the sacred city of the Five Emperors for a long time, so he was no stranger to Hu Pingguin. This person's character had always been a bit greedy. Because of this, when the Battled Arch came to power, he was the first to be recruited by the Battled Arch and became one of his lackeys. Although Nalin Jun didn't know why he was here, he knew that he was definitely not here for anything good. Of course, he didn't have a good expression. Hee. It turns out to be nephew Nalin Jun. Since you are here, things will be easy. Hu Pingguin squinted his eyes, and his whole body emitted his aura naturally. The terrifying aura that belonged to the level of a 2-star emperor made Hong Yu, who was beside Nalin Jun, frown slightly. It seemed that she couldn't bear it. Fortunately, Nalin Jun was there. He raised his hand and stopped Hu Pingguin's aura for Hong Yu. Then, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Elder Hu, if you have anything to say, just say it. It's very simple. I came here for you, the original personal disciples of the Red Emperor." Hu Pingguin said with a fake smile. He emphasized the word original, as if to remind Nalin Jun that his current identity was no longer the personal disciple of the Five Emperors. "You, the original personal disciples of the Red Emperor, have received a lot of privileges in the Alliance of Five Emperors. Today, I'm here to take back your privileges." Hu Pingguin squinted his eyes and said, "This includes the martial arts techniques that you have learned, the elixirs that you have taken, and everything else. Of course, you can't hand over these things, so we have to calculate carefully and convert all of them into Shunbi to return to the Alliance of Five Emperors." When he heard this, Nalin Jun's pupil shrank. This old thing was really shameless. He had never heard of anyone who would come to take back their former things after leaving the Alliance of Five Emperors. One had to know that Nalin Jun and the others had taken a lot of things from the Alliance of Five Emperors, but they had also contributed a lot to the alliance of 5 emperors. Any benefits that we get from the alliance of 5 emperors are redeemed with alliance points. Nail and June snorted coldly. If you want to take away our benefits, then return the alliance points to us first. You're really stubborn. Since you're not willing, then let Xing Fa come out and speak. In front of me, it's not your turn to talk so much. Hu Penguin snorted coldly, and his whole body's aura exploded again. This time, even Nail and June couldn't hold it anymore. Chapter 977. When Hu Penguin's aura erupted, Nail and June couldn't hold on much longer. However, a layer of blood-colored barrier spread out from behind and directly enveloped the entire Heavenly Mandate Manor. Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian were here. The two of them were wearing red cloaks. With a wave of one hand, a layer of blood-colored barrier condensed and completely blocked Elder Hu Penguin's aura. This Hu Penguin had been playing with all kinds of tricks in the Shenluo Empire to suppress the development of the Northern Snow Empire. Now, he actually dared to come here and cause trouble. How could Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian be so easily provoked? Elder Hu, I have never heard of such a rule in the alliance of 5 emperors to return cultivation resources. Xing Fa flew over in midair with an extremely serious look on his face. He naturally didn't believe what Hu Penguin said. He was very clear that Hu Penguin was only here to suppress them and gain some benefits for himself. However, how could Xing Fa let him succeed? There wasn't before, but there is now. If you don't believe me, you can follow me to the sacred city of the 5 emperors. You definitely won't be disappointed. Hu Penguin snorted coldly and said to Xing Fa and the others, how many resources have you received from the alliance of 5 emperors during the period when you were the direct disciples of the Red Emperor? At least 10 billion should be, right? Spit it all out for this elder. Do I do it myself? Or do you want to hand them over voluntarily? If you want to do it, then do it. I, Xing Fa, have never been afraid of anyone in this world. Xing Fa said calmly. He wasn't frightened by Hu Penguin's aura at all. Asking him to hand over cultivation resources? Of course, that was impossible. However, he wouldn't take the initiative to attack Hu Penguin. After all, Hu Penguin was the cabinet elder of the alliance of 5 emperors, and he was also the battle Thearcha's man. If he took the initiative to attack Hu Penguin, the battled arch would have a reason to deal with him head-on, and he wouldn't have to resort to underhanded means like now. During this period of time, the Battle Emperor had used many tricks against the Northern Snow Empire. However, the people of the Northern Snow Empire could only endure it. After all, the Battle Emperor was one of the 5 emperors. Of course, those who opposed the Battled Arch would not have a good ending. It was the same now. Although Xing Fa would not hand over the cultivation resources, he would not take the initiative to attack Hu Penguin. Looking at Xing Fa's robust appearance, Hu Penguin suddenly smiled and said, how about this? I'm afraid you won't be able to take out 10 billion Shinbi right now. However, Lord Battle Emperor has already said that as long as you hand over the Red Emperor's cloak, he will forgive you of this debt. Red Emperor cloak. This old fellow's target was actually the Red Emperor's cloak. The Red Emperor's cloak was a very good combat weapon. Although it could not be measured by grade, it was filled with the power of the Red Emperor. The Red Emperor's cloak on Xing Fa could be activated once a day and could withstand the strongest attack of the 3-star Emperor. This was the strength of the Red Emperor's cloak. In fact, it was very easy for Xing Fa to deal with Hu Penguin if he wanted to, but he had to consider the Battle Emperor behind Hu Penguin. Because of this, Xing Fa had always been suppressed by Hu Penguin and the others. Now, Hu Penguin and the others wanted a yard after taking an inch. They actually wanted the Red Emperor's cloak that Xing Fa and the others were wearing. There was a murderous intent in Xing Fa's eyes, but he quickly concealed this murderous intent and said, come and take the Red Emperor's cloak if you want it. Xing Fa would never hand over the Red Emperor's cloak. In any case, he would not hand over anything. If the other party wanted it, then come and fight. As long as Hu Penguin made the first move, then Xing Fa would not be held responsible for retaliating. Even if the Battle Emperor came looking for trouble afterward, he could find the Sage Emperor and the others to uphold justice. So now, Xing Fa wanted to wait for Hu Penguin to make the first move. However, Hu Penguin was also a sly old fox. How could he make the first move and give others something to use against him? Hu Penguin's main purpose for coming today was to delay Xing Fa and the others so that the others could successfully capture Yuanxin. As long as Yuanxin was captured, then the Northern Snow Empire could be declared dead. Hu Penguin and the others could then legitimately support the Shenluo Empire and the other two empires to invade. By then, the Sage Emperor and the others would not be able to stop them. So, Hu Penguin was only delaying and trying to use words to gain some benefits from Xing Fa and the others. Unfortunately, Hu Penguin's plan was destined to be ruined today. Just as the two sides were in a deadlock, the figure of a youth in black suddenly appeared outside the Heavenly Mandate Manor. At the same time, a voice that Xing Fa and the others were extremely familiar with sounded. Senior brother, Xing Fa. Senior brother, Dao Jingtian. Now that the Battle Emperor is dead, what is this Hu Penguin? Let's just kill them and leave no one alive. Long Yu's voice sounded. Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, Nailin Jun, Hong Yu, and the others were all stunned for a moment. Then, they were all overjoyed. The Battle Emperor is dead? This is great news. Originally, Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian were afraid that the Battle Emperor would come knocking on their door. That was why they did not make a move. Since the Battle Emperor was dead, why would they need to hold back? As for whether Long Yu's words were true or not, they naturally did not need to doubt. Moreover, they also did not need to doubt the authenticity of Long Yu's words. Because in the entire divine battle world, only Long Yu had the ancient Dragon Bone Tower, a battle weapon. As Long Yu took out the ancient Dragon Bone Tower battle weapon, the entire area around the Heavenly Mandate Manor was enveloped by the absolute space field. No one could leave this space unless the power of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower was exhausted. However, how could Long Yu give them this opportunity? Even though Hu Penguin led nearly 100 people behind him, most of them were members of the Shenluo Empire in the King and Emperor realms. There were also some generals of the Shenluo Empire who followed Hu Penguin here to intimidate others. These people did not have much combat power. Hu Penguin was a 2-star emperor. He had 2 1-star emperors under him. There were also a few other cultivators at the peak of the Emperor realm. This was the strongest combat power of this group. When Long Yu's voice was heard, Hu Penguin was instantly enraged. Long Yu, you little brat, how dare you speak such nonsense here? The Battle Emperor is one of the 5 emperors. How could he die? You deceiver, I will kill you first today. Hu Penguin's aura surged and condensed into a murderous intent that was almost tangible. He charged towards Long Yu. In his opinion, it was impossible for the Battle Emperor to die. Furthermore, Xing Fa and the others would definitely not believe this news. Since that was the case, he would kill Long Yu first. This would be another great contribution to the Battle Emperor. Unfortunately, Hu Penguin did not expect that the Battle Emperor was indeed dead. Furthermore, Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian had absolute trust in Long Yu. Kill. The Battle Emperor was already dead. What was there to be afraid of? The other party was already bullying them. If they were to cower, would they still be men? Even if they killed Hu Penguin now, it would not be hard to explain to the alliance of 5 emperors. Without the support of the Battle Emperor, there would be many people in the alliance of 5 emperors who could not stand Hu Penguin. A blood-colored long saber suddenly appeared in Xing Fa's hand. The blood-colored long saber instantly emitted countless blood-colored saber lights. In an instant, Hu Penguin, who was attacking Long Yu, was completely enveloped. Die! The blood-colored saber lights seemed to have split the sky and was about to cut Hu Penguin into 2. Hu Penguin felt the threat from the blood-colored saber lights and was instantly shocked and angry. You little brat, how dare you attack me first? You are dead. Hu Penguin's aura surged like the king of the forest. A Tiger King true spirit appeared behind him. It opened its mouth, and a gust of wind blew away Xing Fa's blood-colored saber lights. Hu Pingwen had comprehended the power of the Tiger King divine text. His strength was indeed extraordinary. Moreover, he was already at the level of a two-star emperor. It was impossible for him to be defeated by Xing Fa in an instant. However, with this move, Hu Pingwen's aura was completely dispersed. He no longer had that domineering aura. Dao Jingtian, on the other hand, wielded a long saber and directly attacked Hu Pingwen's two one-star emperor followers. He did not seem to be at a disadvantage, even though he was fighting one against two. After all, it was a two-star emperor fighting against a one-star emperor. It would not take long for him to kill the two of them. Dao Jingtian's attack was the same as Xing Fa's. It was extremely domineering. Moreover, every saber had a blood-colored glow. This was the strongest saber technique that they had inherited from the Red Emperor, the Scarlet Blood Saber technique. Both of them had received the true teachings and had cultivated the immemorial martial technique, the Scarlet Blood Saber technique, to the perfection realm. At this moment, the entire sky was covered with the color of scarlet. The violent wind that kept rolling around the whole place carried an incomparably bloody aura. The experts clashed, and the remaining cultivators who followed Hu Pingwen were all bewildered. Didn't they say that they were only here to buy time and blackmail? Why did they really start fighting? Speaking of which, Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian seemed to be very powerful. Would Elder Hu Pingwen be a match for them? Go to hell. After being bullied for such a long time, it would be terrible if Nailan Jun could still endure it. When Xing Fa and Hu Pingwen were fighting, Dao Jingtian also took over the two one-star emperor experts. Nailan Jun, holding a long sword, flew out like a stream of light and directly attacked the remaining cultivators. Without the existence of the emperor level, the remaining people were completely like ants to Nailan Jun. After his extremely fast and sharp sword light flashed, 3 people instantly died under his sword. Let's go. Hu Pingwen originally did not dare to fight against Xing Fa. Now that Xing Fa actually took the initiative to attack, it was exactly what he wanted. As long as he went back and complained to the Battle Emperor, this Xing Fa would definitely die. However, since Long Yu had come and shouted that the Battle Emperor was already dead, how could he let them escape successfully? Long Yu did not participate in the battle. He only flew to the side and used balance control to completely hide his body. However, the absolute sky domain was still present. Even Hu Pingwen, who was at the level of 2-star emperor, could not find traces of Long Yu. Moreover, he would soon find out that none of them could escape the range of the absolute sky domain. When the battle completely broke out, Yu Xiaoyin and Yu Linfeng also flew up from the Heavenly Mandate Manor and joined the battle with Nailan Jun. The 3 of them joined forces and directly faced the remaining 70 to 80 cultivators from the Shenluo Empire. Run! Hu Pingwen shouted and fled into the distance as fast as he could. However, the next moment, Hu Pingwen seemed to have hit a translucent barrier and his whole body was bounced back. The entire space had actually been sealed, making it impossible for anyone to escape. This was the absolute sky domain of the ancient Dragonbone Tower, an Archean-level weapon. Since you are here, don't run away. Chapter 978. Hu Pingwen had come looking for trouble because he had the support of the Battle Emperor. But now, Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and the others had ignored the existence of the Battle Emperor and dared to attack Hu Pingwen. At this time, Hu Pingwen could only run away. His idea was to go back and ask the Battle Emperor for help. When the Battle Emperor came, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him? However, he did not expect that the entire space had been isolated from the outside world. Even someone as strong as the 2-star Emperor, the Cabinet Elder of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, Hu Pingwen, could not pass through this sealed space. Scram! Hu Pingwen hit the edge of the absolute space domain and was bounced back. He was stunned for a moment. Then he gritted his teeth and revealed an extremely fierce expression. The power of the divine text gathered all over his body and formed a light beam that blasted at the edge of the absolute space domain. This attack caused the entire absolute space domain to tremble. However, Long Yu checked and found that Hu Penguin's attack had only consumed 1% of the absolute space domain's energy. In other words, Hu Penguin's level of attack had to be unleashed at least 100 times to be able to destroy the entire absolute space domain. However, where would he have the time to unleash such an attack 100 times? Doomsday Crimson Blood. Xing Fa held a blood-colored long sword in his hand and brought with it an endless pressure. The long sword in his hand outlined a scene of doomsday. The crimson-red color filled the entire space, and the blood-red sword light surged towards Hu Penguin from all directions. Since you're here, don't run. Xing Fa thought so too. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly, and the blood-red sword light enveloped Hu Penguin's body. The power of the Tiger King Divine text erupted from Hu Penguin's body, but it was to no avail. His own strength was already a level lower than Xing Fa's. Moreover, now that he was restricted by Long Yu, he could not escape or dodge. He was already feeling a little weak. Countless blood-red sword lights slashed Hu Penguin's entire body into several pieces, which flew in all directions. Then, the blood-red sword lights followed up and completely destroyed Hu Penguin's physical body. The cabinet elder of the alliance of 5 emperors with the strength of a 2-star emperor had finally disappeared from this world. It was just like how Long Yu was dealing with an ordinary late emperor realm cultivator right now. Punishment only needed a single move to deal with an ordinary opponent of the same realm. He didn't need to say anything at all. The reason why they were so cautious before was because they were worried about the existence of the War Emperor. After all, the War Emperor was one of the 5 emperors of the Shenwu world's 5 emperors alliance. An existence like that was quite a deterrent. And now, since the Battle Emperor was dead, no matter how he died, would it be Hu Penguin's turn to flaunt his prowess here? After Hu Penguin was slain by Punishment's Scarlet Bloodsaber, the battles elsewhere were nearing their end as well. The King Realm, Emperor Realm, and early-stage Great Emperor Realm cultivators who'd come from Shenluo Empire to cheer them on were all killed by Nailin Jun, Yu Xiaoyin, and Yu Linfeng. After Hu Penguin was killed by Xing Fa's Scarlet Bloodsword technique, the other battles were also coming to an end. The King Realm, Emperor Realm, and a few early-stage Emperor Realm cultivators from the Shenluo Empire were all killed by Nailin Jun, Yu Xiaoyin, and Yu Linfeng. The 2 1-star Emperor Hu Penguin's lackeys were also killed by Dao Jingtian. Blood filled the entire battlefield. And this was only because Long Yu had brought news of the death of a Battle Emperor. In addition to the influence of the absolute space domain he had activated, Long Yu didn't even need to personally act, because there was no need for him to. Xing Fa's group was very strong, even stronger than the current Long Yu. Before, they were only restrained by the Battle Emperor and didn't dare to act. But as long as Xing Fa's group went all out, their fighting strength would be unimaginably terrifying. After the battle was over, Long Yu relied on his 6-stage balance control to be 100% sure that no one managed to escape, so he retracted his absolute space domain. In Shenwu world, no one could escape Long Yu's balance control detection. First Senior Brother is truly amazing. Long Yu laughed and appeared to greet Xing Fa. When the crowd saw Long Yu, their faces were filled with excitement as they surrounded him one by one. "Haha, 7 Junior Brother, I heard that you challenged 4 Emperor Realm cultivators in a row in the 5 Emperors' Holy City and killed them one by one. That's fine, but now you brought US news of the Battle Emperor's death. How shocking. Were you the one who killed the Battle Emperor?" The fatty, Yu Linfeng, flew over and asked with a laugh. "How could I have killed the Battle Emperor?" Long Yu shook his head and laughed. "It's just that he sent me to exterminate the Earth God race's mutated beast nest. In the end, we were all captured by the Earth God race's mutated beasts and brought to an ancient ruin. We were fine, but the Battle Emperor received the news and came to the ancient ruin. In the end, he was trapped in the ancient ruin. Don't scare me like that. If that old guy isn't dead, wouldn't we all be in trouble? Fatty was startled and put on a terrified expression. Come on, we could trust anyone, but how can we not trust Junior Brother Long? Xing Fa smiled as he flew over and patted Yu Linfeng's shoulder. Yu Linfeng couldn't tell, but Xing Fa could. There must be some other secrets to the Battle Emperor's death. But since Long Yu didn't say anything, there's no need for him to ask. They only need to know that the Battle Emperor is definitely dead. Right now, the Alliance of Five Emperors is investigating the Battle Emperor situation. There should be a result very soon. At that time, they'll probably ask someone to replace the Battle Emperor. Long Yu asked, "Will Shifu, the Red Emperor, come back?" Probably not. Xing Fa shook his head. Even if the Battle Emperor really is dead, they'll probably pick the strongest person to replace him. Our Shifu has already gone into seclusion and won't come back. In that case, it's very likely that it'll be one of the two challengers who appeared together with the Battle Emperor. Long Yu nodded and said, once the Battle Emperor died, the position of the Five Emperors couldn't be empty. The replacement would most likely be the elegant woman who challenged the Red Emperor before the Battle Emperor in the Palace of Abysmal Darkness. That woman was originally the clan leader of a small family in the sacred city of the Five Emperors. There weren't many people in that family, and that elegant woman was the only one who had reached the level of a 2-star emperor. If that woman took over as one of the Five Emperors, it wouldn't have much impact on Long Yu. After all, the two sides didn't have any hatred or relationship. However, in the end, it still depended on the decision of the remaining 4 emperors. It was also possible that the Lushan clan, an extraterrestrial force, would come to make the decision. No matter what, it didn't have much to do with Long Yu. Then, Long Yu followed everyone back to the Heavenly Mandate Manor. First, he gave the Jade Slips that recorded the ancient and arcane level martial arts skills to Xing Fa and let Xing Fa keep them for him. At the same time, Han Yu would manage them and be responsible for deciding who was qualified to cultivate these martial arts skills. Just like the W Chi channeling from before, in order to cultivate these ancient and immemorial level martial arts techniques, one must have a certain amount of contribution points. Anyone who contributed to the Heavenly Mandate Manor would have the opportunity to cultivate these ancient and immemorial level martial arts techniques. The ancient and arcane level martial arts skills were undoubtedly top treasures for everyone in the divine martial arts world. Even if they were of the lower, middle, or upper grade, they surpassed almost all the martial arts skills in this world. If one was a member of the Heavenly Mandate Manor, it would be easier for him to cultivate these martial arts skills. If one joined the Heavenly Mandate Manor from outside, he would have to do more to get the qualification to cultivate, which was considered normal. Not only that, but Long Yu also obtained a lot of ancient and arcane elixirs. Apart from keeping 3 of each for his own use, the rest were all given to Han Yu, becoming the property of the Heavenly Mandate Manor. In addition, Long Yu also made a copy of the elixir scripture provided by Consort Yu and left it in the Heavenly Mandate Manor for the people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor to study. The treasures that Long Yu obtained from the magnificent palace in the underground space had obviously improved the foundation of the Heavenly Mandate Manor by a large margin. It might not be very effective for now, but after enough time, the strength of the entire Heavenly Mandate Manor would not be inferior to that of one of the 6 sects and 10 kingdoms, like the Taiwu Empire. Even among the 6 sects and 10 kingdoms like the Taiwu Empire, the Shui Sword Clan, and the Jiang sect, the strongest martial arts skills were only of the upper grade ancient level, which was considered the strongest, and only the top cultivators were qualified to cultivate them. But now, in the Heavenly Mandate Manor, the upper grade ancient level martial arts skills could only be said to be ordinary. Above that, there are more than a dozen arcane level martial arts skills. Any one of these martial arts skills could be used to crush their opponents in the same realm. Moreover, now that the Heavenly Mandate Manor was guarded by Xing Fa and the others, it could be said to be impregnable. Even if the cabinet elders of the Alliance of Five Emperors came, they would not be able to gain any advantage. Unless it was someone at the level of the Five Emperors, but other than the Battle Emperor, which of the Five Emperors would attack Xing Fa? As the personal disciples of the original Red Emperor, Xing Fa and the others were still valuable to the forces beyond the heavens. Once they could step into the level of the Three-Star Emperor, the forces beyond the heavens would come to take them away and train them. In this regard, Long Yu also said something to Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian. The Lushan clan, a force beyond the heavens, was not a very good force. He asked Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian to delay their breakthrough so that they would have more choices. Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian trusted Long Yu's words. Anyway, there was still some time before they could step into the level of the Three-Star Emperor. It was impossible for them to do so quickly, so they did not feel too conflicted. Soon, Shi Yingwu arrived at the Heavenly Mandate Manor with Yu Hanxin, only to find that the situation here had been settled, which made Yu Hanxin and Shi Yingwu feel relieved. Then, Shi Yingwu took out all the tens of billions of Xinbi that she had won in the competition of the strongest emperor realm and gave them to Yu Hanxin, Hongyu, and Shu Chan. Now that the Battle Emperor was dead, these assets could finally be used to buy things. Originally, the people of the Northern Snow Empire could not buy cultivation resources even if they had the money, but now they could finally usher in a real golden period of development. Then, Long Yu handed the Azura Source Stone and the Azura Ancient Palace to Shu Chan. This young princess of the Azura County had fought side by side with Long Yu many times. Although she could not keep up with Long Yu in the path of martial arts, she was still Long Yu's friend. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.